Why did they let that darn killer walk free?
You happen to know Lucia was going away with Leonardo? Tell me, did you know she was going to bring her kids along?
Wait, hold on. Do I understand you right? Are you trying to blackmail me, Rogelio?
No.
If you don't marry me, I will tell everyone what I know. You're going to end up in jail. Think about it. The odds are stacked against you, darling.
Nikifa utapumzika.
Me and Dingo have a son together.
Wewe ni wewe mpaka ukishikibiriti kilepuke na usikie mlio wako usikie.
Kwa sababu mimi ndio mamake huyu mtoto na mimi ndo najua uchungu wa huyu mtoto. Na wewe wangania nini kwa Laban na hakupendi? Si umwachie Casey?
You homewrecker.
Is Casey the reason why mom left?
What?
Unadhani pakiongezwa Abel hapa mambo yatakuwaje?
Humu ndani hakuna aliyekuona na ujauzito.
I suggest you save that fight for another time, my darling husband.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Kenya on this 12th day of January 2021. My name is Ben Troy, sitting in for Regina Manyara. A very good welcome to KBC Good Morning Kenya. And the gang is here, guys.
Nobody knew that.
Leo tunaanza na men.
Actually, it's a GG. In football terms, call it a GG. 2-2. Goal.
GG.
Yeah. Good morning, Ben. It's
morning.
12th day, actually. You know, we are almost coming to the katikati of January.
And many people don't realize this month has 6 weeks.
Yes.
No, you just look at it. It's exactly 6 weeks.
Okay. Where did they come
6
from?
Sundays or...
Actually,
5
6
Sundays.
weekends. Yes.
Yeah.
It is
That's
January.
how serious January is.
January is Januarying.
January just as a way of being January.
But nonetheless, we are here. We will crack all the 6 weekends, 6 weeks, because that's how it's supposed to be. Good morning, Kenya, from whichever part of the country you're watching us from. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor Lo. Please, you just tell us where you're watching us from, your feedback, and remember, today we are going to have a very, very interesting story. She is the first police officer in Kenya in 115 years to earn a PhD. I'm talking about Dr. Rezila Anyango. She will be here later on in the program, so you don't want to miss that. She just need to tell us how she managed to do it in terms of managing her family, managing her profession, and did she just have to get into the police force to earn a PhD? And what does it show to the peers in the police service? We will be having that discussion later on after all this is done, including the news bulletin. But before then, Jane is here next to me, smiling.
Waza.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yes.
Valentine's is coming.
Allah.
Valentine's is coming. We have been month already.
Fast. Let's finish January 1st.
To commitment, Valentine's is coming.
The way this year's Valentine's has excited you.
Where is your boyfriend? And where is your girlfriend?
Like, this
year's Valentine's has excited Jen sana tu sana.
Are you saying?
Imekuwa excite since jana umekuwa ukitumia Valentine's is coming.
Valentine's is coming. It's the closest holiday that we have.
Kwa hivyo kuna kamutu.
Or is there any other holiday?
Where's your boyfriend?
Yeah.
There isn't any other holiday until then.
No, let me not comment. You might land in trouble.
Where's your
sitting
boyfriend?
at home, lonely,
Reading bulletin. Lonely.
But nonetheless, good morning, and welcome to the program. I am Jane Boy Kama Kawaida, and this is something we will never tire. That is Victor. Jifanya unaongea, but I'm voicing over.
Something like
Kama Kawaida, we will never get tired of telling you that we appreciate that you choose to start your morning. Your morning with us here on Good Morning Kenya. I'm Jane Wamboy. It is a pleasure to have you with us today, this fine 12th day of January. Doreen.
You know, I see Victor doing sign language, then kakumbuka, actually that used to be your job. You used to do a lot of sign language interpretation, but now Victor looks like he's taking over.
Ameshindwa kidogo hapo.
Anajaribu.
I only did thank you. And that was it.
Anyway.
Bye.
Good morning to you again. We always appreciate you just for joining us 6:30 to 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday. We don't take that for granted. Waking up, switching on your TV, tuning into Good Morning Kenya, sending your feedback, appreciating our show. That's why we always appreciate you. And this morning, on the roads, we'll be crossing over to the other side of the country. That is in Kisumu City. That will be our area of focus this morning when it comes to traffic. Remember that particular road that was commissioned by the president in 2020 because of its linkage to the airport. That is what we'll be looking at this morning, how it's progressing, as well as trying to track the progress of the construction around Ahero Junction, one of those busy area. There's still a lot that is happening around that specific area. So this is why this morning we'll just be focusing on what is happening in Kisumu when it comes to traffic. Many thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo. Where is your boyfriend? You are sitting alone.
Lonely.
I remain silent.
The official hashtag for the program is a hashtag Good Morning Kenya. At KBC Channel 1 is official station handle.
Good morning. These are the news making headlines at the moment. We begin with the hate speech concerning the Meru Senator Mithika Linturi, who was released on a 2 million shillings cash bail after spending 2 days in police custody over his hate speech remarks in Eldoret. Nakuru Chief Magistrate Edna Nyanoti ordered Linturi not to contact witnesses and report to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that's the DCI, once a week. At the same time, Kitutu Chache MP Richard Onyonka was set free without any charges being preferred against him shortly after he surrendered himself to the Kisii County DCI headquarters over alleged hate speech utterances. Ben Chumba reports.
Shortly after the Director of Public Prosecutions Nudin Aji ordered the Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai to probe alleged utterances by Kitutu Chache MP Richard Onyonka, the legislator surrendered himself to the Kisii County DCI headquarters on Tuesday. Soon after recording a statement, Onyonka was released without any charges being preferred against him. He was, however, instructed to report to the DCI headquarters in Nairobi, as his lawyers asserted that his remarks did not amount to hate speech or incitement.
There is no hate speech. There is nothing that police need to investigate over a rebuttal or a response to what was clearly provocation of other communities within the Republic of Kenya.
Meanwhile, an activist moved to court seeking to stop the Director of Public Prosecution from arresting, arraigning, charging or prosecuting Onyonka over allegations of hate speech. Through his lawyers, Frederick B. Carey argued that the prosecution of hate-mongers lies with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission.
The Director of Public Prosecution cannot order IEBC to investigate an electoral irregularity. Therefore, he can also not order the National Cohesion to investigate that. We hope the judge is going to give directions, and we hope those two letters, one for Linturi and one for Onyonka, will be quashed.
It makes it meaningless to have the commission as we know of it in law. It makes it unnecessary. It in fact renders it a wastage of public resources for us to be funding a commission that does not exercise its powers as is required in law.
And after spending 2 days in police custody, Meru Senator Mithika Linturi was released on a 2 million shillings cash bail over hate remarks he allegedly made in Eldoret.
The respondent to report at the CID headquarters once a week. The respondent's free speech rights are limited, that he should not make any comments on the case under investigations. He should not conduct any witnesses.
The court, however, declined to the prosecution request to detain Linturi for 7 days.
Now to the security situation in the Rift. At least 10 schools have been closed due to escalating insecurity in Baringo County after learners, teachers and parents fled for safety. This as residents and education stakeholders in the area called on the government to immediately restore normalcy and stop further disruption of the school calendar. Zainab Said has the details.
Chepkesin Primary School is among the 10 schools that have abruptly closed due to the ongoing banditry attacks in Kerio Valley, Baringo County. The school, which is in Baringo North, is yet to reopen for the third term after learners, teachers and parents took off to save their dear lives.
Nataka niomba serikali ya kwamba watie jitihada ya hali ya juu kuona ya kwamba mashule yote yamefunguliwa na wakora waondolewe na askari lazima iwekwe katika hiyo laini.
Naomba serikali watilie maanani na wachukue hiyo maneno mbio mbio ili tupate hata namna ya kuishi hata siku mbili.
Other affected schools in Baringo North are Kisumet Primary School, Kamwetiyo Primary School, Chemoe Primary School, and in Baringo South constituency, Laimanywe Primary School, Chepkechir Primary School, Koitilil Primary School, and Karne Primary School remain closed due to insecurity.
Sheria ya Kenya inaruhusu Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kulinda kila mtu na mali yake. Na wamama wa Kerio Valley, see, they are not less a human than those other humans wenye hata wako kila mahali hapa nchini Kenya.
Here, the latest attack was on Monday at Laimanywe, where the bandits drove away with a known number of livestock. A situation education stakeholders from the area now wants addressed promptly.
Wamama anabeba mtoto yake miezi 9 tumboni, anamshika miaka 3 kwa miguu, na tunaambiwa moyoni anashika mtoto yake milele. Hawa mama badala ya kushika mtoto yake milele moyoni amemzika kaburini. Naomba hiyo ikuwe mwisho leo. Hatutaki kusikiza, tunataka action.
Kenya National Union of Teachers claiming teachers have withdrawn from the region for their safety.
I want to ask the teachers, and I've repeatedly said this, if your life is in danger, please run for your life immediately.
The border of Elgeyo Marakwet and Baringo County has also witnessed rising cases of insecurity, with over 60 people allegedly killed in the past few months.
Away from that, the contractor of the 29-kilometer Kwale-Kinango Highway is set to appear before the National Development Implementation Technical Committee on Wednesday to explain why the project has stalled for 10 months. According to the contractor, who was awarded the 3.07 billion shillings 3-year tender, the machinery imported for the construction works is yet to be cleared from the port of Mombasa, hence the delay. This emerged during an inspection tour of local government projects by the National Development Implementation Technical Committee led by Interior PS Karanja Kibicho. And as Junei Karisa reports, The team, comprised of all state departments' principal secretaries, have pitched camp at the coast for the next 4 days.
On Tuesday morning, the National Development Implementation Technical Committee kicked off its 4-day tour to inspect government projects in Kwale, Mombasa and Kilifi County. The committee's chair, Interior PS Karanja Kibicho, led 10 principal secretaries to inspect the efficiency of the port as well as the newly launched Kipevu terminal. Kibicho notes the government has put the necessary measures to enhance efficiency at the port of Mombasa.
Other than the projects that are ongoing, the brick and mortar, this port is a very important cog in turning the economic development of this country.
The government has embarked on the construction of a second container terminal, now in its second phase, at a cost of 32 billion shillings.
We have our timelines and all of us are in one room. If there is one institution that is making the chain break, then they are in the room and we are able to solve those problems.
Meanwhile, in Kwale, 11 PSs led by Energy PS Gordon Kihalangwa traverse the county, and it is at the Kwale Kinango construction site where the rubber met the road.
If you are going to do 29 kilometers in 3 years, what are you telling me? What you are engineers?
It is in the document.
Yes.
Yeah, it is there.
Why?
10 months down the line, the contractor was yet to begin construction works, and this was their directive.
Thursday, when we are having the NDITC meeting, the regional manager for Kenya will come and do a presentation of the work plan on how they are going to compensate for the 10 months which have already elapsed.
At the Technical University of Mombasa, Kwale campus, the task force is proposing the construction of a police post to enhance security in the area, as well as embark on a street light project. The construction of the Mwache Dam is expected to kick off in February. However, compensation works are derailing the process.
We have already paid 75% of those who are supposed to move out. We are only left with the 25%. But all we need for now is what we normally call the critical area.
A similar script played out at the Dongo Kundu project, whose phase 1 failed to commission in December.
Hiyo kazi ya kuweza kufanya hiyo compensation ishaanza na tunatarajia kwamba kabla ya mwezi wa 4 ama wa 5 ambapo huu mwaka wa financial year unaendelea kuisha, tutakuwa tumetatua.
Juni Karisa Mbele from Mombasa County.
Actually, the contractor is set to appear before the committee on Thursday, that is tomorrow, and not Wednesday, as I had earlier alluded to. Elsewhere, ODM leader Rezila Odinga has pledged to strengthen the private sector in a bid to create more employment opportunities for the youth. Speaking in Nairobi when he met youth from the Mount Kenya region, the former premier claimed that the ailing economy in the country is as a result of untapped potential in the private sector, promising to seal corruption loopholes if elected president to help drive the country's economy.
ODM leader Rezila Odinga was in Nairobi wooing the youth from Mount Kenya to support his 2022 presidential bid. Rezila promising to deal with corruption both in public and private sectors, and that if elected president he will create a conducive environment for investors in a bid to open up more employment opportunities for young people.
The big problem is bureaucracy, infrastructure, the cost of infrastructure, particularly energy, and then the corruption in our country is the biggest impediment to private sector investment in our country.
The ODM leader at the same time said his government will create a youth fund to enable the young people to borrow money and repay after 7 years.
The Juakali sector, put up proper shades for them to start where they want to start, and also give them access to capital so that they can be able to stage their businesses.
Kwa serikali yake atakuwa na data bank
ya vijana. Do you know how important that is? Because atajua each and every one of us where we are located, what are our qualifications.
Leaders who attended the meeting called on the youth to participate in the electoral process to determine their future.
Even if you're not interested in politics, politics is interested in you. Those decisions that the leadership are taking affect you directly as a young person.
Basi tunaamini nyinyi watu wa Kiambu, baba atachukua zote na aweke.
And I know come August the 9th, you are going to make the right choice.
Even as the 2022 political trumpets continues to take shape, ODM party leader and presidential hopeful Raila Odinga is keen on capturing the vote from the youth, bearing in mind they make the largest percentage of the Kenyan population, even as he promises to tap on the blue economy opportunities to create jobs for the youth. Timothy Kipnusu, Nairobi.
Now, the Political Parties Amendment Bill is now before the Senate's Legal Affairs Committee after it was read for the first time in a special sitting of the House. Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka assured the country that due process will be followed in considering the bill that elicited chaos during its consideration in the National Assembly.
The Senate held a special sitting Tuesday to consider, among other businesses, the controversial Political Parties Amendment Bill that was passed last week by the National Assembly. Unlike in the National Assembly, where the bill had caused tension as MPs faced off over the procedure and its proposals, political temperatures in the Senate were relatively low. Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen sought assurance that due process, including public participation, will be followed.
I want to assure you, Mr. Speaker, that because of the importance of this bill, that Kenyans will be given an opportunity through public participation, not a guided, rushed public participation, but a robust, well-publicized public participation.
For the information of the Senator, I think the Senate Business Committee, in its consideration of this matter, emphasized the need to go through the entire constitutional, legal processes, including the directions in the standing orders.
Legal Affairs Committee Chairperson Senator Okongo Omogeni said his committee will accord the public adequate opportunity to send their memoranda. Some senators, however, cautioned against delaying the process, saying the Senate had limited time to consider the bill.
We'll give an opportunity to those who may want to appear before this committee.
We have a situation where we need to seek concurrence with the other House, 110.3, and we also have the time factor, Mr. Speaker.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, while committing the bill to the Legal Affairs Committee, assured the Senate and the public that due process will be followed.
So I would like to assure this House that there is no intention to depart from the Constitution, the laws and the standing orders. The Senate and the country can be assured of that.
Among other proposals, the bill seeks to reintroduce coalition political parties where constituent parties retain identity but form a coalition party as opposed to the current situation. If approved as it is by the Senate, coalition parties must be registered with the Office of Registrar of Political Parties by April.
From the Senate to the Judiciary, where Chief Justice Martha Koome has urged newly sworn-in magistrates to uphold the rule of law to ensure fairness without external interference while discharging their mandate. Koome, who presided over the swearing-in of the new magistrates, cautioned against delays, directing them to adopt active case management system to expedite justice.
I, Lilian Wangari Maina, do swear.
It is during the swearing-in of 64 new magistrates and 19 adjudicators that Chief Justice Martha Koome reiterated that the judiciary will not tolerate corruption, warning that the department will deal swiftly with any claims of impropriety.
We are enforcing a policy of zero tolerance to corruption within the judiciary, and I can assure you there is no sustainability in corruption.
the Chief Justice encouraged the new magistrates and keep up with emerging jurisprudence, cautioning them against being swayed when delivering justice.
Oath that you have taken today be a solemn promise that in the execution of your duties you will exemplify the highest standards of professional and ethical conduct.
The Director, Kenya Judiciary Academy, Smokin Wanjala, urged the magistrates to uphold the oath of office, integrity and impartiality.
Objectives the Constitution envisages a credible and visibly independent, transparent, impartial, neutral, efficient and accountable judiciary.
I implore you to practice accountability, independence and impartiality, for your decisions not only directly affect the lives of the people that appear before you, but also the image of the judiciary.
The new magistrates have been deployed to various stations in the country, including the newly created Small Claims Courts.
It was actually challenging, working at the same time going to school, part-time, university, and later on to Kenya School of Law. But thank God I got admitted, and now I'm an honorable magistrate.
This moment, it is looking forward to serve Kenyans in the dispensation of justice.
64 magistrates and 19 adjudicators have just been sworn in by Chief Justice Martha Koome, which is a big shot in the arm for the judiciary and the country. With a looming pause just less than 7 months away, this team here will be tasked with assisting the judiciary handle the election, petition, adjudication, or even constitutional interpretation that may arise with the general election. Elsewhere, a petition filed by activist Okiya Omtata seeking to block Deputy President William Ruto's bid for the presidency while in office has been transferred from the Constitutional Court to the Employment and Labor Relations Court. In the petition, Omtata wants any public officer, including a sitting deputy president, to vacate office before nomination as a presidential candidate.
Activist Okiya Omtata's petition seeking to have all public offices compelled to vacate office before being nominated as presidential candidates will now be heard at the Employment and Labor Relations Court. According to orders issued by Justice James Makau, the petition, which challenges Section 43 of the Election Act, as read with Article 99 of the Constitution, falls squarely under the jurisdiction of the Employment and Labor Relations Court and not the Constitutional and Human Rights Division. Section 43 of the Election Act requires that a public officer who intends to contest an election under this act shall resign from public office at least 6 months before the date of the election. This section, however, excludes the President, Prime Minister, Deputy President, Member of Parliament, a county governor, a deputy governor, and a county assembly member from this requirement. Activist Okiya Omtata now seeks to do away with the exclusion and require any public officer seeking nomination as a presidential candidate to vacate office 6 months to the election.
And in business, the government has suspended all inbound and transit passenger flights from the United Arab Emirates for a week. In a notice to Air Missions, the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority says the decision, which was effected from last night, does not affect cargo flights. Following the decision, flights have been delayed, some have been cancelled, and advised those who have travel tickets to only get in touch with the airlines once the suspended flights resume.
The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority has suspended passenger flights from the United Arab Emirates for a week through a notice to Air Missions. This has seen airlines from both countries announcing compliance with the new directive. Currently, there are 28 inbound and outbound flights between the two countries. Emirates, which operates 10 flights per week between Dubai and Nairobi, has advised passengers to hold on to the tickets until flights resume. In a notice to travelers on its website, Emirates said, if your flight has been cancelled or impacted by route suspension due to the COVID-19 restrictions, you don't need to call us immediately for rebooking. You can simply hold on to your Emirates ticket, and when flights resume, get in touch with us or your booking office to make new travel plans. In a notice, Emirates has cancelled flights to and from Dubai, affecting those travelling to and from Kenya and Ivory Coast, as well as Lusaka, Zambia, Harare in Zimbabwe, Abuja and Lagos in Nigeria, and Casablanca in Morocco. The decision by Kenya comes weeks after the United Arab Emirates suspended passenger flights from Kenya for a week, then indefinitely extended the suspension after the lapse of the initial suspension.
And in sports, all the latest from the Africa Cup of Nations, Kelechi Iheanacho was on target as Nigeria comfortably beat 7-time champions Egypt 1-0 in the Africa Cup of Nations Group D opener. The Pharaohs offered little in response after falling behind in Garoua. In the earlier kickoff encounter, Algeria began their defense of their title, goals and also the sights and the sounds. And that's all we had for the morning news. Let's have a break. We'll be right back with Jim K.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡 You don't want me to worry, but you don't realize when no one will talk to me, it causes me to worry more.
I can't wait to see your face when I serve you this soup.
Your company still owes me. When will you pay me back? Debt should be repaid. If you have any integrity, you'll agree to that.
I said tenfold. So maybe back triple.
Turns away, the sun sends the day, creeping into the gloom. I promise to love you. I got you, babe. I got you, babe.
My friend, for my friend, the ones that true and not sell out. That one up for my friend, when not about for the money alone. This I want.
Roni Mamboleo Junction as well as Ahero Junction will be our focus this morning on traffic. But before we get to the Lake region, how about we quickly look at how Juja Road is looking like this morning in terms of traffic, and perhaps you can begin from that particular area where you get to branch off through the Eastleigh First Avenue. Remember that this is one of those areas where the NMS really did a lot of work in trying to ensure that most of this garbage that was especially in those sections or areas which we call the non-motorized transport system areas designated for pedestrians as well as motorists. They just try to ensure that all the garbage that was on most parts of these areas was at least collected and try to put up a system whereby this would not be there anymore, to try and see how best they could reduce traffic, given that this is one of those busy areas, most especially because of the businesses just along this particular area. So this is just where we want to begin the traffic flow this morning as we check at how Juja Road is looking like. Not so bad at all, just a slight build up as you get to that particular intersection before you get to branch off to Juja Road. And also part of why we perhaps be looking at this area just a bit is simply because the Eastleigh First Avenue oftentimes is a very good alternative route for those plying areas of Jogo Road, given that in this time of the morning there's really heavy kind of traffic on that particular route, that is Jogo Road, simply because it's one of those roads whereby there's numerous kinds of estates as well as small and medium scale businesses, which is actually a reason as to why there is usually heavy kind of traffic in that particular section. This is just how the Eastleigh First Avenue is looking like, moving at a very swift pace on both lanes. So as you leave the intersection there, leaving areas of Juja Road, branching off to the Eastleigh First Avenue, as well as leaving sections or areas around Jogo Road, coming through that entire lane as you head over to the city center, still via Juja Road. This is how it is looking like, green all through, clear indication of no traffic at all. But just as you get to the intersection there, this particular area, this is where traffic just begins to slightly build up. But also it's because around this area it is a bus terminus, so obviously this is just basically what we'd be expecting to see because of those kind of activities, either people boarding matatus or perhaps alighting. But this is just specific to that area before you get to that intersection. Away from that, moving at a very swift pace along Juja. In fact, on major parts along this particular stretch, there's barely any kind of heavy traffic, and that continues up until areas of the Pangani intersection. Again, still around this area, oftentimes again serves as a very good alternative route for those coming from areas around Thika Superhighway. And so far as we know, there's still a lot of ongoing road activities in this particular route, or better still on that highway, that is in terms of the BRT. So clearly very necessary to just try and look for good alternative routes for those plying that specific route. And this is how it is looking like. Still no traffic in that intersection. That is the Pangani intersection areas as you head over to sections of Ngara Road, coming still through Juja Road as you come to the city center. Just a slight build up as you leave CBD. Again, quite interesting because this morning hours you really be seeing it's really highly unlikely to be seeing traffic as you leave city center going through the estates, but that looks to be the case as you leave areas of Ngara city center, coming through that intersection as you enjoy into Juja Road, as well as heading to areas of Thika Superhighway. But on the other side, as you come to the CBD, moving at a very swift pace. So perhaps if you are using this route or you are actually on the roads, a good time for you, because as you come to city center, there's actually no traffic at all on that particular section, or better still on that lane. This is just how it has been, still the same, nothing is changing on that section, moving at a very swift pace. That is how it is looking like this morning on sections around Juja Road. But like I mentioned, today we'll just be focusing on what is happening around the Muhoroni Mamboleo Junction, one of those areas that was commissioned by the president in 2020 in terms of reconstruction, recarpeting, as well as expansion of that route, and also just trying to look at what has been happening around areas of Ahero Junction, given the fact that that construction process is still ongoing. But around Juja Road, that is how it is looking like at 7 minutes past 7 a.m.
All right, let's now move on to the papers and get to see what they have for us today. We start off with the Daily Nation. Remember, we are still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. And a lot of politics has been featured here on the front page, touching on Ruto, touching on Mudavadi, touching on Raila. And starting with this particular piece concerning Ruto, it reads, Ruto cracks the whip on UDA ticket hopefuls. And this is in line with part of what this particular daily got in regards to that story, where allies to the deputy president said that they were ordered to stop endorsing one another in public amid fears of favoritism ahead of the UDA primaries. And One was actually quoted saying that is KU South MP Daniel Rono, who explained that in areas where there is only one UDA aspirant, the deputy president has no problem, but in other spaces, no one should be endorsing the other and or rather openly supporting another aspirant, because it would be interpreted or misinterpreted to mean that some have already bagged a UDA ticket, consequently bringing the whole aspect of favoritism within the party. Moving on to Mudavadi, big blow to Mudavadi as another MP jumps ship. Earlier on, or rather towards the end of last year, nominated MP Godfrey Osotsi quit ANC for ODM. Amid fears that there would be a wave of defections from ANC, which could, give it a political dent. And now Amani National Congress Party has been rocked by another major defection by Matugu MP, Mr. Peter Oscar, where he declared his support for Raila Odinga's Azimio La Umoja movement. And this is after he said he had done a lot of consultation with his supporters because situation kwa ground finna be different. All right. Moving on to the main read, Raila maps blue, red and green poll zones. Mi nakwambia siasa is a whole game. Hapa kuna Game of Thrones. Now we need this here in Kenya. So according to the former premier's strategist, political strategist, they have gone on to map the country into three categories: strongholds, battlegrounds and the vulnerable grounds. Strongholds will be colored blue, the battlegrounds will be colored green, and the weak or vulnerable grounds will be colored red. I'll be giving you, they've gone ahead to give a proper breakdown of which areas or rather counties these are perceived to be. That story has been covered here on page 4. I'll be giving you those details in a bit. Huge losses as a blackout hits the country. I know most of us have struggled with this. Trust me, I am a casualty. Up until now, it's very unfortunate as thousands of businesses counted heavy losses yesterday due to the nationwide power outage that lasted several hours in most areas. There are areas where power came back, but there's still areas where they are yet to get the power back. And finally, patient gets pig's heart in historic animal-human transplant. This is the story of a 57-year-old man who was successfully implanted a genetically modified pig's heart. Oh, this is very interesting. Details coming up in a bit. Victor.
Yeah, and that happened in the US, and the doctor said that they're still trying to monitor how it's going to work out. But I think science is proving that it can be done. So let's wait and see how that patient will
But
fare.
you know, the irony is most people think baboons, or rather the primate, the monkey family,
Yes.
are closest to human beings in terms of how they represent, how we are made. But actually, it's research is so in guy. Today I'm on a roll.
What am I supposed to say?
If I'm saying that.
Yes.
But research has come out to show that actually that is not entirely true, because this particular piece also highlights heart transplant that was done from a baboon to a newborn in 1984, and the baby only survived for 20 days because of compatibility issues. So
Yeah. Actually, the doctor said that they were trying to work on the human being's heart has around 6 genes, and that of a pig has 3 genes. So they're trying to balance how those genes would, the compatibility purpose and how it's going to be. All right. Closer back home, let me just pick it from that political table, Jane. And Raila's campaign and Nderitu promises a race like no other. He says that that race is going to be only comparable to that of NAC in 2002. And now in his first media interview, the Raila's campaign board chair Nderitu Mureithi disclosed that they are putting everything in place to vanquish Deputy President William Ruto and take over the country's leadership in August 9th election. So he said that they are putting everything in place to make sure that that campaign is hard and, giving that face of a national face. And on the front page, Raila team pledges battle like no other again. And Deritu says the State House race only comparable to Kibaki's knack of 2002. Prime Minister to launch New Year campaigns in Thika on Saturday. That will be on Saturday, and he said that will be his first campaign of 2022. All right, new Exodus rocks ANC as Speaker Muturi disowns One Kenya Alliance. More political hemorrhage is rocking ANC boss Musalia Mudavadi's camp, even as Speaker Justin Muturi now disowns the One Kenya Alliance. This even as it emerged that Oka's technical team is on a 3-day retreat to confront the thorny issue of the formula to pick a presidential candidate. Wow. All right, so let's wait and see the outcome of that retreat. Now, there's a story here again in terms of politics. Raila says that he's not in the race to seek employment. And he says that the former Prime Minister described the August 9th polls as a moment of economic revolution that should be driven by youths from across the country. Raila said that his role as the president will only to that of the driver of what he called the third and final revolution. And the piece here went ahead and he gave the history of his 2007, 2013, 17 and 2022 central campaign teams. And in 2007, let me just take you back down the history, memory lane. Musalia Mudavadi was in the team, Janet Ongera, Anyang' Nyong'o, Professor Omingo Magara and William Ruto. In 2013, Kalonzo Musyoka was there, Carol Omondi, Eliud Owalo, who is now in the UDA camp. In 2017, we had Musalia Mudavadi and Janet Ongera. So when you say that these politicians know each other very well, we mean it. We mean it. There's a story here. Until death do us part. So Val keeps woman bedside beside her bedridden husband for 31 years. So it all began in 1988 when the husband, who was a shop owner way back then, is called Mr. Atemo, went to separate two men who were fighting but unfortunately got injured in the process. He injured his spinal cord, and since then he's been bedridden for 31 years. To make it worse, as the years went by, they say that things went from bad to worse as their two sons were shot by police in separate incidents over crime-related issues, leaving them just the two of them. So for 31 years, the woman has been taking care of the husband. So that brings that part of the vow. Do people really keep them? It's the hardest part, all right? So they're still struggling, and they're calling for well wishes to support them and ensure that the man just get a footing and have a life. All right, Troy. Indeed.
The first one of the year.
Oh yes. Let's go. Let's do this.
Okay, the standard. Of course, the headline, of course, what Jane has talked about, blackout, the hard questions. Of course, the heads or the bosses, actually they're talking about the electricity bosses could not offer a satisfactory explanation after 4 pylons suddenly came down, tumbling down and cutting off power countrywide, and especially in Nairobi. Jane, I'm also a victim. And of course, they're talking about vandalism also being one of the big issue that they've been having, and they are saying that of course there will be a lot keener so that that does not happen again, because I'm quite sure a lot of factories and companies, including hospitals, were affected yesterday.
Just to interrupt you.
Yes.
How can vandalism cause an entire country blackout?
That is why,
yes,
the headline is Blackout, the hard questions,
Yes.
They have to look for something. They were not able to give a satisfactory explanation, and I'm quite sure they will be hearing a lot from the Energy Committee of the Parliament, because this is something that they should have checked, because looking at the pylons that they're talking about, they are quite massive, and there are no any residential or commercial buildings that are supposed to be near those big ones.
High voltage pylons, yes.
Very hard questions when it comes to that. But away from that, we have also something that you guys have talked about earlier, the hate speech. Same script, different actors. They're talking about MP Onyonka and Cheruiyot, who have now joined Linturi and a growing list of politicians in trouble over loose tongues. Elsewhere, talking about the story that, of course, is making all the headlines. United States man get genetically modified pig heart in breakthrough transplant. And of course, a lot of people, as Jennifer said, they thought that because we are closely related to the apes, perhaps we could have get a silverback heart or a baboon heart.
I know
but
where
now
you got
it's
that
a pig. Yeah.
I know what movie that is.
Yeah, and oinks will be in our hearts. They're talking about they could use pig organs, they genetically modify them and put them. Actually, I'm surprised that the pig is quite similar. The pig's body is quite
human
similar
anatomy, yeah.
to the human body.
I think
and
what
including
we're
the skin. They also get the rashes and sickness on their skin. Do you know
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
I think the similarity between humans and primates is because of the physical representation.
Yes.
Because a monkey can stand with you.
Yes.
Any member of the primate family can stand with you, behave like you, eat like you, hold things like you, mimic you very well, as opposed to pigs. That is why people didn't see that physical representation. But when it comes to the actual anatomy of the human beings, it's interesting how that will be.
Indeed, and because they're talking about the United States alone having over 110,000 people who are still on the waiting list when it comes to organs. That shows you how much development we are going to be seeing medically in the next 5-10 years.
Are in trouble. It happens that
Not only pigs.
Yeah.
Not only pigs.
Wow. That's a discussion that...
But you know, pigs, it's at a higher risk because it's raised to be eaten.
Yes.
Yes.
And now it's also going to be spare parts. We all have to now rear pigs.
This one here.
Uko na nguruwe.
unataka sauti ya nguruwe.
Kwanza kuna lita imezaliwa juzi. And the fact that they also have very big litters is also an added advantage.
Sasa watu wa pork, sasa pia hizo pork zinakuwa body parts.
Yes. And actually now they might be in very short supply, just like donkeys. You do remember when we had an abattoir in Naivasha when the donkeys were being slaughtered. A few months into the business, we started having shortage of pundas.
Now
in the
the
country.
pig has been endorsed.
Now we're talking about pig, you know.
Endorsement. This is endorsement, by the way.
So yes, spare parts, as Jane likes to put it.
You cannot do pig rustling. That thing is noisy.
But you know, the pig is a very smart animal.
Yes, and emotional.
People think about it as being very dirty, but it's quite an interesting animal.
And also the religious background towards the pig is also another turn-off for many people.
True.
And you know, where religion is involved, people get very emotive. So this is very exciting, and especially looking at the fact that this guy was actually he wasn't even on the priority list because of other underlying health conditions, his age. So this is a silver lining for so many people.
But being something interesting to look at, I think for me is just those ones of how long will it last? How will this heartbeat, this man survive up until when? For how long?
But this came after months of research. They did say they modified a total of 10 genes for compatibility purposes, because in as much as there's similarity in the anatomy, a pig is still a pig, a human is still a human. They cannot just merge effortlessly.
But that's just an indication of the medical breakthroughs that we are going to be witnessing in the coming years.
Yeah.
Good news, Doreen.
All right, so let's come to the PDN. Clearly, obviously, the KPLC story. The KPLC story is actually on every paper, and even as we speak right now, it's still on trending on Twitter. And just as you know, all of you have mentioned, well, KPLC came out to just give a statement, and this was via their Twitter account, saying that the outage or the blackout, which began at 10:45 a.m. that was yesterday, was actually due to to the collapse of mast supporting of high voltage power line connection to the Kiambere hydroelectric dam. And the questions that a good number of Kenyans have also been raising, and perhaps even trying to look for alternatives, that is it a time whereby we now need to like move fully to solar system, given that KPLC is still a monopoly, and anytime there's this power outage, there's clearly nothing Kenyans can do as opposed to just wait and see what Kenya Power will do. We've also been seeing how a lot of businesses got to just be on the loose, as well as hospitals, and even some number of death cases that were recorded just because of that particular blackout. So away from the KPLC story to some bit of politics, whereby the ODM party leader, that is Rezila Anyango, is set to launch his 2022 State House campaign in Thika, and this is said to be one of those campaigns which he'll be doing. This is going to be taking place or better still happening on Saturday. And part of what he mentioned, even while he was addressing the youths in Kiambu County, is that he said that I want to partner with you so that we set the right takeoff of economic revolution for our country. And obviously, again, he went on ahead to perhaps give promises, and most especially to the young people. This is as it pertains to creation of jobs as well as various other things. And again, also a major boost for the DP. After devolution, CS Charles Keter joined him, becoming the first CS to actually declare which camp he is in. So this is him just joining the UDA party allied to the Deputy President William Ruto, whereby the article continues to highlight that this was a much-needed boost for DP's presidential quest following that devolution CS declaration support there. And again, this story was perhaps also mentioned at the Star, Victor, if my memory serves me correct. This is Justin Muturi, the National Assembly Speaker, saying that he is not allied to Ruto or Okam, just saying that the decision of me engaging other parties in coalition talks can only be made by the top decision-making organ of the Democratic Party. I cannot make that decision as an individual. That is what he said, just trying to say that he is not allied to either Azimio la Umoja or the UDA party. And also, with the continuing attacks in Lamu, looks like every other day there's just something new on what is happening in that particular county, and this is in respect to either the number of people that have been the number of people that actually have died, as well as also the number of houses that have been torched. And now the state deploys more officers in Lamu as attacks escalated. Remember that these particular attacks have been linked to land issues as well as land disputes, part of what attracted the introduction of curfew in that area. And also, as we speak, so far, a number of people have also been arrested due to the linkage in these attacks that have been happening in Lamu County. And lastly, court orders school to readmit students. These are students that had been kept at home since October because of these students actually there had been conversations that they were part of the continuous banning of schools in this particular school, that is Masai Girls in Narok County. And also, just going by this article, is also part of what prompted the ministry to say that it is very necessary and important for drug tests to be done on students, just to try and see how best they can curb this issue of school attacks, or better still, school arson. That is how PD looks like this morning. Victor.
All right, let's now come back to the Daily Nation. And let me start with this particular piece concerning Azimio's strategic political mapping campaign strategy, part of the plan, all those big words. But according to Rezila Anyango's strategists, they have mapped Kenya into 3 zones. As mentioned earlier, we have the strongholds, we have the battlegrounds, and we have the weak or vulnerable areas. So looking at the strongholds, when they lay down the map of the country, those will be colored blue, the battlegrounds will be colored green, and the weak or vulnerable zones will be considered color red. And looking at the strongholds, these are areas that are traditionally, and by the way, this mapping is based on the support and hostility, perceived support and hostility towards the former premier. So some of these stronghold regions, they are the areas that Mr. Odinga has traditionally enjoyed a lot of support, including Nyanza, Western, and the coast. Moving to the areas in the battleground category, this has also been categorized into another 3 bullet points. So under battlegrounds, kuna bullet points zingine tatu, where we have the central, eastern, northeastern, and Nairobi, which are categorized as battlegrounds. Then under that, there are areas that are considered to be fair battlegrounds, areas which include Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, Marsabit, Isiolo, and Samburu counties, while the third bullet point refers to real battlegrounds. And these are areas that are mainly in counties in the Mount Kenya region, parts of Eastern, including Rift Valley, such as Turkana, West Pokot, Narok, and Kajiado. Now, the areas that are perceived to be the red zones, the vulnerable zones, the weak zones, are areas that are also, on the other hand, considered to be the strongholds of the Deputy President in the Rift Valley side of the divide, which includes Uasin Gishu, Kericho, Bomet, Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet, as well as Baringo counties. These are considered to be the red zones in Mr. Odinga's campaign mapping strategy. So as depending on which county falls in which category, that is going to be a way that it will be determined how much campaigning will be done in this area and what approach to use looking at this particular area. And you know, guys, this goes to show how politics is not just a popularity game. It is not just, since I'm famous, since people know me, you know, things are good. The fact that a whole political party sits down to just map the country and see the areas that, you know, we need to work on. And this reminds me of CBC. You know, these days they don't just give marks. They have categories, you know, exceeding expectation, approaching expectations, the other is under expectations, and there's also a fourth category right there. It goes to show you how political strategies really earn their coin when it comes to this campaigning period.
Yeah. And to see, when you talk about, you know, each and every candidate must employ their strategy, Stanley, we always understand that in 2017, we had Aristotle Inc., and you remember the Analytica, which was working for President Uhuru way back then. So you have to employ some of the data analysts to put together, you know, map those kind of areas considered to be, you know, red zone, green zone, the battlegrounds and the swing votes area, like Tarakaniti. Give people some, it will be in the history of this country. Okay, so we're taking a break, and when we come back, as we earlier promised that we are going to have that discussion, 115 years in the Kenyan history, a PhD, doctor, Madam Officer. We are going to find out more about that when we come after this break. Don't go away.
Kwani wewe ndiye Leo?
Hajalishi wewe sema watakaje.
Yaani utakwambia kweli kabisa? Kama mamako alikwambia nilifariki, basi alikudanganya.
Wewe usijifananishe na Badi Maya.
Kwa sababu ya ujinga wa mume wako, mtafilisika kabisa.
Misha kwa mtu mzima. Na najua maana ya kuwa huru, lakini yeye hataki kunielewa.
Mimi si kama
mwana wa nyoka ni nyoka.
And demand an explanation. Why did they let that darn killer walk free?
You happen to know Lucia was going away with Leonardo.
If you don't marry me, I will tell everyone what I know. You're going to end up in jail. Think about it. The odds are stacked against you, darling.
Sauti ya Kenya.
Juu milimani na hata mabondeni,
Radio Taifa inatamba kutamba. Sasa unaweza kupokea matangazo ya Radio Taifa loud and clear popote ulipo Western Kenya.
Radio Taifa usisahau unaweza ukatupata kupitia
ukiwa Busia, Siaya, Vihiga, Mumias, Yala na maeneo yaliyoko karibu. Radio Taifa inapatikana kwenye 104.5 FM, na ukiwa Bungoma, Kakamega, Kiminini, Kipkaren na viunga vyake, pata vipindi na burudani safi kupitia 92.3 FM. Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya.
Sasa yani hata iweje yani, na yule aliyoko pale saizi haezi toboa.
Mimi nilikuwa ninakufuata bwana, ili tuende kule mjini tukutane na governor, tumfunge mdomo, tuendelee na kazi.
So what happened?
Paka tumpe time, hebu tumpe mwezi mmoja tuangalie wafanya kazi kweli ama wafanya.
Mwezi mmoja tena?
Mwezi mmoja.
We shall deal with them ruthlessly. Na wewe mwenyewe utaona.
Welcome back, and in case you just joined us, this is GMK, and in the headlines continues, and in the Standard I've seen something interesting. Of course, guys, we have not been hearing a lot of banning of schools, but listen to this. 3 students of married girls in custody over plans to ban school, and actually this brings to 5 the number of students so far arrested for alleged arson in the region. And remember, the government was very categorical that the students who ban schools will be dealt with by the law like any other criminal, and they will not join any other public schools in the country. But you see here, we're talking about police holding 3 students, and of course a lot has been talked about when it comes to discipline in schools. They're talking about introducing, I remember introducing Magoha talking about the mulling over reintroducing caning in schools just to curb some of the cases that we are hearing. And of course, Uhuru Raila allies rushed to pass the coalition bill by end month. Guys, if you have noticed, is that these people we call the politicians, they have already divided themselves. We are talking about the Political Parties Amendment Bill, which is a bill that will affect not only 2022 general polls, but also all the other elections that may come afterwards, 2027 and going on and going on. But they have already have divisions. We know where some of the allies, Uhuru and Raila, and on the other side for the DP. Actually, as Kenyans have talked about, they should be objective when it comes to that. But the IEBC has announced and set April 16 to 22nd for party nominations. I'm quite sure that will draw a lot of interesting results, because I'm quite sure some people will talk about we've been given the ticket by the party, we have been rigged out. But I believe after April, that is when we'll be able to see how the politics have shaped up in the light of 2022 general polls. Something else I think, Jane, you've talked about is Speaker Muturi denies joining One Kenya Alliance as Raila promises youth funds to do business, talking about they will access funds and repay once their businesses make profit. The ODM leader is expected to hold a rally in Thika on Saturday, where he will be talking about the Azimio and officially kickstart his campaigns for the 2022 general polls. Something else we touched on, but we didn't go deeper, is many politicians are charged, but none found guilty. Most suspects are acquitted after prosecution withdraws cases or fails to provide enough evidence to warrant conviction. And they're giving an example of former MP Matthew Lempur-Kel, who was arrested and charged with incitement. He was later acquitted by an Anyuki Chief Magistrate Court that declared that the evidence could not sustain a conviction. We also have cases, TRT MP William Kamket, and NCIC has talked about over 40 cases which they are investigating. But the question is, do they have the biting power? Some people have talked about they should be given more mandate to execute their duties. But as we say, let's wait and see what happens. As we speak, Meru Senator is in trouble. So is two of his colleagues in Parliament when it comes to matters loose tongues. I believe we have something, Jen?
You know, just to add on to that particular story before we move on to the PD, I think that's something that as a country we've grown complacent about. We always make noise when some of our leaders are found or rather are arrested and taken in on such allegations of corruption or even just, let's give an example, hate speech. That is the current wave of conversation. And yesterday he was granted a 2 million cash bill, and still the DPP is looking into other cases of alleged hate speech. Going back to the 19th of December just last year, a few other members of parliament are in trouble due to some of the utterances that they made. But incarcerations are still not a reality for some of these big shots, quote unquote, when it comes to leaders who are arrested or taken to court. How many incarcerations have we witnessed? Let's just talk of the past 5 years.
There are many actually, Jane, and I work at the court, so I can tell you for a fact is that we have several cases, but they're just gathering dust. The files are gathering dust.
They never end incarceration, you know?
Yes.
Like a sentence or something.
And the funny thing, Jane, is that we seem to be so happy when these people make those remarks, looking at how the crowd react when somebody has that loose tongue. And we expect something to be done, but we seem to be glorifying, for lack of a better word, these utterances which can plunge the country into very deep waters.
But this also takes us back to our justice system. You know, backlog of cases is also another reason that I think as to why we don't see this incarcerations as much as we would want to see. Like case ilienda aje, bado iko kotini, set to be heard during November because of the number of cases that are still pending in the court. So it's a whole
you know what really
and actually
changed.
Somebody suggested, Vicky, just a second,
Yes.
Somebody had suggested, right now, this year we've started, end of last year, beginning of this year, we started the small claims courts. So we can also have a department that deals with these hate speeches, because I'm quite sure we are going to be, this is not the last time. This is not the last time we are hearing about loose tongues. They're talking about, let's have some courts specifically to deal with this. And NCIC be given more mandate, be given more biting power, not only to just record statement and publish their names in the list of shame.
And even as you talk about the loose tongues and perhaps the hate speech, this is why also the DPP is also launching a crackdown on this particular cases, and there are those who are actually on his radar. Perhaps I can just read this particular article very quickly on how the PD is highlighting it, is that there's now a crackdown on suspected hate mongers. This intensified yesterday as the DPP Nuruddin Haji directed the IG of police, that is Hilary Mutyambai, to investigate utterances by Kericho Senator Aaron Cheruiyot during a rally in Eldoret on Saturday. The DPP also directed the IG to commence investigations into utterances by a Lamu politician, that is Abubakar Amana, who has been accused of issuing remarks that could disturb the national peace. And in his letter, he said that Cheruiyot's speech during that rally was held at Eldoret Sports Club and attended by DP, that is William Ruto, and his allies, could incite hatred hatred and contempt against a section of Kenya. So aside from just those members that I've mentioned, there are also others who are on the DPP's radar, and this particular article continues to highlight. And just from what we are conversing about is that I think it needs to get to a point whereby we just don't talk about launching a crackdown or trying to ensure that these persons are arrested, but what more action can be taken, because I guess it continues to be a trend whereby there's lack of not really filtering what you say, because perhaps nothing will be done to me. So
But
if I can say whatever I want to say.
They really need to be put on guard, because they cannot be speaking as recklessly as they do in the guise of hyping people. Because even when you saw when the DP was apologizing on behalf of Linturi, the crowd was very happy.
What really happens is that I think that case of Linturi it just slipped through. But
and that's the thing, it's so recklessly let out.
Exactly. What politicians are forgetting about is that we are in a digital era, and everybody is a journalist right now. At the crowd, everyone is a journalist and a reporter. So we have got smartphones all over, and everything you say, people stream live events nowadays, okay, on Facebook and what have you. So that one of Linturi just slipped through. But in real life, what really happens at political rallies that, most Kenyans do not have to watch on television because they are edited.
So much goes.
That's true. And politicians are aware of that. This is a time that they have to spew, all those, unprintable words. And that's what wananchi wanapenda. So they know what really will sell for them. And if you're just EV2 according to them, whether you're on the right side of the law, you'll be trampled upon.
And it's a very sensitive time to be saying whatever it is you want to say. We're just eight months to the general election. Remember that everything you say, whether good or bad, really stays in the minds of most of these Kenyans.
Absolutely. And
indeed, and the media, we actually been told that we actually help in fueling that by publishing what these people are saying. And to a certain extent, that is true, because we have the capacity to filter that. But the social media, it's another whole thing that actually it's hard to control as mainstream media.
But as media, you are damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. It's a double-edged sword.
So,
but then again, the people should not pay the consequences of somebody's reckless actions.
And sometimes I also think that there's a very thin line, because it's not just when it comes to hate speech, in so many things. I remember also when COVID hit the country, we were being told as the media, it's that we are fueling whatever is happening. And then you wonder, but what exactly would be a role as media if you do not pass this information and let Kenyans or people know what exactly is happening?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Okay.
With that,
take a break.
Tufunge kamaneno.
But before then, next week, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembeya says that he'll quit and he'll get into politics.
Allah.
Trans Nzoia County Governor to succeed Hayamba.
What is it about politics? Everyone is just getting into, even musicians and artists.
Valentine's is coming.
Yeah. Okay. And AFCON is still on. Let's see what will happen in the evening. Jen?
Yes, we take a very quick breather. We'll be back with more what we have lined up for you. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya.
quickly look at how the roads are looking like in terms of traffic, and I was just trying to get that tab that is actually showing what is happening around the Muhoroni Mamboleo junction, and perhaps you will get it. So before we get to that area, let's quickly look at what we were looking at earlier. This is a section of Juja Road. Try to see if at all there's any kind of change on this section before we get to what is supposed to be our focus today. That is the Muhoroni Mamboleo junction. And as I explained to you earlier, simply because that is one of those roads that was commissioned by the president around 2020 because of it being a very, very instrumental road. Its linkage to the airport there, as well as just in terms of economic growth when it comes to the transportation of most especially sugar from areas of Nzoia coming through that particular area, as well as even beyond. So before we get to that particular stretch, trying to see its progress, how it's been coming along in terms of that construction, and perhaps how all of that is affecting or even impacting traffic altogether, let's try quickly look at how Juja Road is looking like, given the fact that this is what we had been focusing on earlier on our first traffic link. Right now, there's a lot of changes on this particular road. Again, this is why I keep saying all the time that traffic just changes every single minute, every single second. And this is again why I said earlier, if at all you were leaving your houses, that was the best time for you to be doing that actually, because right now, heavy kind of traffic on this particular section. And this is actually as you leave areas of the Mlango roundabout. Remember that this roundabout, by the way, was not even in existence. So when there was the reconstruction of most of these roads in the city center, this is just part of what they came up with. That is the Mlango roundabout. And the whole idea was to ease on the traffic flow. But this is how it is looking like this morning. A bit of heavy kind of traffic there around this mini roundabout. I call it a mini roundabout simply because it gets to just branch off to slip roads as well as some minor roads in this around this area. And again, one of those alternative routes as you leave areas of Thika Superhighway, and also as you leave areas of Eastleigh, Juja Road there, as you head over to the same section of Thika Road. This is how that roundabout is looking like. Heavy kind of traffic moving at a very, very slow pace. Unlike most of the roundabouts that we get to oftentimes see, especially here in the city center, where traffic police are always stationed up bright and early to try and see how best they can control traffic. That is unlike with this particular one. Not to say that they're not there, but oftentimes they're always not there around this particular area. But when it comes to the areas around Pangani intersection, I can assure you the traffic police are always there to try and see how best they can control traffic. So let's just go to that area, try to see how it is looking like. And look at that, no traffic at all in this section. Just a bit of a gridlock as you leave Thika Superhighway coming through Ngara Road before you get to branch off on the other section of Ngara Road as well. And also as you head over to the section of Juja Road, clearly just showing that the traffic police around this area are really doing a good job in trying to control the traffic around this particular section, because right now could still also serve as a very, very good alternative route if you're leaving areas of Thika Superhighway coming to the city center and you do not want to make do with a heavy kind of traffic on areas around the Globe roundabout, because again, around that area of Thika Superhighway, oftentimes heavy kind of traffic, especially in this early morning hour. So this could serve as still a very good alternative route for you. That goes all the way up until areas of Ngara Road, as I mentioned, as you head over to the city center. Where there's just traffic is as you leave CBD, coming through Ngara Road, branching off through that particular Pangani intersection as you enjoin to Juja Road, as well as you go with the same particular route as you head over to sections of Thika Superhighway. So that is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic. I'm still trying to track how the area of Kisumu is looking like for you, and I'll be bringing you that update perhaps in our next link up segment. Like I mentioned, is just simply to try and track the progress of the Mamboleo Muhoroni junction, which has been continuing for a while, one of those key instrumental roads as it was commissioned by the president in 2020. How has that been coming along? Is the progress of that construction coming along well? And how is all of that affecting and impacting traffic? That is what we'll be trying to look at perhaps in our next link up segment. Victor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doreen. And on The Viewpoint today, we want to talk about something that's quite unlikely. All right? When was the last time you broke a record? Just asking you as a viewer, when was the last time you broke a record? Yes, so today we want to talk about record-breaking officers. And when you talk about record-breaking officers academically, most people perceive police officers as people who've never gone to school. They were just picked randomly from the streets and they were taken to Kiganjo or, Embakasi or to any barracks or any training college, and here they are. But that is not the reality on the ground. Things have changed and we are in a different era altogether, because reasoning has also changed. We are in a digital era, and the way civilians relate with police officers must also change. And on that note, today on our Viewpoint, I'm privileged to have one and only Dr. Rezila Anyango, who is a PhD holder in Kenya, the first police officer in Kenya in 115 years. Where were you in 115 years ago? Okay, we'll find out that. And of course, we also have police spokesperson Bruno Shioso joining me once again. Karibuni sana. Starting with you, Bruno, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Nice being on the set again with you.
Yes.
Early in the year. And also I bring the greetings of National Police Service.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the Inspector General of Police. Thank you.
Please pass our regards as well.
I will.
We appreciate. And
definitely,
the lady of the moment, Rezila Anyango. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Victor.
Yes.
And thank you to KBC for hosting me today.
Karibu sana. And how about your new year?
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Yes, you began well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You are the lady of the moment, so to speak. I would just put it this way, that most people didn't know about you until your graduation last year. In just like 2 minutes, who is Rezila, Daktari?
Dr. Rezila Anyango, my name you've said. I'm a police officer. I graduated in 2018 actually, and as you said, I've been quiet.
Yes.
Because I do my part. I continue with my work, which is the police work. Yeah. So currently I work as the Deputy Director of Planning at the Inspector General's office.
Yes.
And I've been there quite a few months because for almost the last 2 years I've been working with Interpol.
Yes.
As a criminal intelligence officer for the Eastern African Bureau for East Africa. Yeah.
It sounds, when I was going through your background and your resume, I read about it until I think I dozed off. Until I dozed off. Just to give you a brief, until August 2021, you are the criminal intelligence officer on contract at the International Criminal Police Organization, that is Interpol, as well as an Ivy League graduate. And a PhD and Masters of Philosophy and in Criminal Justice from the Graduate Center, John Jay. I dozed off. I dozed off. Perhaps your background. Did you ever want to be a police officer? Just to start.
Interesting. The first I wanted to be a military officer, actually. When I was in high school, I was nicknamed Langata Barracks. I was a prefect throughout my school, high school. So, but the police, I have the passion for the police, and it came from the police women. I saw the traffic police women on the street. They had red eyes, and I felt they are very tough with those red eyes. I didn't know the value, the meaning behind those red eyes until I joined the police and discovered it because we sleep less.
So, and you work hard.
And then the passion for the police came, and it was very strong. And so when I did join the military, I joined the police. And I joined the police when I was already a graduate with my first degree from Moi University. And then from there, I've gotten the opportunities to go and study, further my studies. And those universities you mentioned, I have 2 master degrees and the PhD, of course. I did all my graduate schools in the United States of America, and so the first one, which is Master of Science in Criminology, is the one I did in the Ivy League University, which is the University of Pennsylvania. Then I went back for the Master of Philosophy and the PhD in Criminal Justice. So the umbrella university is the City University of New York, but then I learned the scholarship for the PhD came from the Graduate Center, which is within the City University of New York. But then we are taught at the John Jay College of Criminal Justice.
Yes.
And the Graduate Center.
Right.
So that's why you have all those 3 universities appearing. Yeah.
You know, it's quite interesting because when you joined Police College in Kiganjo, you were the top recruit way back then.
Yes.
As the recruits.
Yes.
How did it turn out from Moi University?
Yes.
First of all, from village in Siaya County. You went to Luak Girls and Moi University, graduated then to Police College in Kiganjo in 2003. That's almost 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And through the ranks, you've risen and kept on studying even at work.
Yeah.
Starting from Kiganjo, how was it then that you emerged top recruit that year, and now you've metamorphosed to who you are today?
Yeah, that's a good question. And just to mention the primary school, I was in a very small, remote school. I worked.
Shout out to the primary school.
Ogea Primary School. It's somewhere in Ugenya.
Yes.
And I footed to school all through my life. And when we finished class 8 at that time, I was the best female student in 1992 when I finished. Yes.
Right.
And the second overall. And so I got Luak Girls High School. Was a very top school at that time, you know. It still is. Yes. And very competitive to get. And I went to Luak Girls High School, did my best, and went to Moi University through the Joint Admissions Board. But then the passion for the school has always been with me, that I want to be a police officer. When I decided, okay, I can't get to the military.
Yes.
But this is things which I started as a kid. It's either I'll be military or I'll be a police. So I was comfortable with any of them.
Yeah.
So when I go to the police, I knew I want to be a cop, but I was not comfortable with just being a cop, and that is it. But then the education, the police has the provision for studies, especially graduate school.
Yes.
There is that room always. And so what I've done, if all my studies in the US are on scholarship, fully from the US. The first one was under Ford Foundation International Fellowships Program. Ford Foundation was here for 10 years when they were running that program.
Yes.
During those 10 years, I was the only police officer that got it from this country to do that scholarship.
Amazing.
And so when I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and of course, you asked about Kiganjo. Kiganjo, when I joined already, I was a graduate with my first degree.
Yes. So you joined as a cadet?
No, as a recruit.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I did the 9 months.
And way back then, I believe it was tough.
It was. It still is, but then it really was.
Yes.
So I did my 9 months, and immediately I joined the Kiganjo. The same day I arrived, I was appointed the overall squad leader for the female recruits.
Did they have an intelligence? How did that happen?
I don't know. They just saw me, and and I remember it was a female senior officer that said,
yes,
today I have an overall squad leader, and that is how it was. And I was the best female shot in shooting, and I was the best female academics and all that. And that's how you end up being the overall stick woman.
Yes.
If you see them, they wear a red lanyard.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's how you distinguish them. And that's how I ended up being the best, and was awarded by, you see, those ones who march very, very fast to go to be awarded by the president.
Yes.
During my time, I was the best female recruit.
Interesting. Bona Bruno, it's, you know, when you have such brilliant brains in the police force, police service rather, it changes the entire narrative of how the service is way back then and where we are today. We are in 2022. When you have Dr. Rezila in your office, of course, what does it send to the general public and even to the police service in general?
Yeah, great question, Victor.
Yes.
So much stuff is happening in the police service. Very good things that people don't know outside there. People, they just began by saying that most people believe police are those people just picked from the streets, brought to Kiganjo for training or in Bakasa or whatever it is, but that's far from the truth. It's just only that in the National Police Service we are an equal, opportunity employer.
Yes.
So we shall try to pick, a representation of the society, the whole society, because we believe, as it's rightly said, that the public is the police and the police is the public.
Yes.
So we'll try to pick at least something from every other cohort for the public. Having said that, the reality of the matter is we have officers with very great aptitudes in terms of intelligence, in terms of training, in terms of skills. And we try to do that balance. So here we have Rezila, just as a good example of so many others that we have. And first, just to correct you, she's not the first PhD within the police. She's the first PhD female.
Yes.
But you have so many other PhDs male that already we have in the service. We have lots and tons of masters holders. Yes, still going through the programs for PhDs, for masters, and other, other levels. So what I'm saying is, in addition of being an equal opportunity employer, where people just want to talk about the D police officer, of which we agree we have some of them, because again they do a very great job. We have room for them. Yes. But we have other officers all through the academical spaces, up to the very top, like Rezila here. And she's a very good example. Just even within ourselves, because there are so many other officers who still have to take up that quest for education. They are again, a good example to the public to show that this is the face of police now and going forward. We're investing in knowledge. We want to be a knowledge organization, and we want to build the service based on the knowledge worker.
Because when right now, this is a question I even asked you last year, because when you go to a police station right now, most of the records are digitized. You will get literate police officers who either joined as cadets, who did IT, who did journalism as communication, who did information science and what have you, and they join police force, police service as cadets, and then when they come out, they get employed. They have the knowledge and they are able to relate to with the civilians and the public pretty well. Moving forward, how is it to you, Bwana Shoso, how is it that Mwananchi right now is able to relate with the police officers perfectly well as compared to years ago?
And this brings us now to this element of the police reforms.
Right.
Of course, by the nature of the police itself, and our history and our past, having been part of what we call the force, there was that kind of adjustment between the police and the public to make suspicion, to make distrust, and just based on the model of policing by that time. But then through this constitutional dispensation of the constitution, where actually the conversation was there between the police and the public themselves through that forum, and the people said that we want a responsive and responsible police. And that's what brought up the issue of the service. So the service, is being redesigned, being basically to focus on the client. We are trying to tell the officers, right from basic training through our curricula, that we are not there for any other person or for any other thing. We're there just to focus on the people. These are our customers. Let's go out of the way. Of course, we are law enforcers, but beyond law enforcement, police, we play in a very array of other services. Just beyond the law enforcement, because we are part of the justice system. We are, just policing itself again. We are peacemakers. So we have to change our focus. We have to change our paradigm from raw force to service oriented. And these are now things we are trying to embrace upon the officers. And try to retweak, the software of policing. That let's look at the publics as our employers, as our friends, as part of our community. And let's see how we can collaborate together for us to identify the problems we deal in the society. We again jointly try to look for solutions. You see? We're not the experts. We're just tools. You're just your tools who dedicate all the time doing your work. But we have still to talk to you, to understand your fears, to understand your problems, and see how best we can be able to manage them. And this is the whole conversation around the community policing paradigm.
All right. Daktari, the pressure must be so high on you right now. 115 years record, you must be going through a lot of pressure to maintain that.
You know, it shouldn't be.
Yes.
It's good for the service. It's good also for the girl child to know that in the National Police Service in Kenya, they can join and they can be anything they want to be.
They can be anything
they want to be. The police is very diverse. You can be a girl that dreams to be a pilot, you can be in the police. You can. You can be a girl that dreams to be an engineer, you can be in the police.
So being a police is a profession on its own. As opposed to the norm, you know, enda tu hiyo ni kazi tu kama kawaida to just go. It's a profession, and you say it's wide.
It's very wide, and there are some which expertise you have to be trained specifically to do some of the work, and of course there is the general police training. So it's good, and it's an encouragement, in my opinion, to the girl child to know that they can always be what they want to be. Other police female officers, in my opinion, and even the other male officers who are junior to me, many of them, the pressure that I would say is that I would be happy to see more of them. Not going necessarily for the PhD, but appreciating education and those who have the opportunity to go and embrace. Education is important for everybody. Very important. It opens your mind. It opens your way you interact with people, your network. And so that could be the message that it sends. Yes.
How would you want to impact your knowledge right now in the service? How would you love to impact even your colleagues in the service and even the general public and even people who are now still yearning to join the police service?
You know, I think so many mixed in one. I'm the police officer.
Yes.
That part of me is there. I'm a scholar. And with scholarship, with the PhD, you always want to do research.
Exactly.
So apparently, the support I've gotten, and this one I really must appreciate the police leadership from the IG. I've been supported to study.
Exactly.
As they are supporting other officers to study. Because I can, and even my dissertation when I did for the PhD, my sample came from the Kenya Police and the entire National Police Service. So that is much you can support one of your own with studying. And with the PhD, recently I have published one of my papers, and so I do research. I can inform policy, and it's, you know, when you publish, it's not for a particular group to read. It's everybody that is interested in the university will read or in academia. So that way, I think I'll impact through scholarship, and we are available to serve the nation in the capacity I can be called upon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe just
exactly. Yes.
When you spoke about police being a profession. But I want just to maybe digress a bit by saying that police is even more than a profession. It is more than a profession because it gives latitude and room for officers to even pursue other professions from within.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you can see Rezila, she's a cop, but she's decided to pursue against scholarship. By the way, the other people you find they are pilots, others are doctors.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the service.
Yeah, within the service.
Yes.
We have lawyers. Yeah. We have, so many, forensics people, so many other, array of people. So you can still be a police officer. You're pursuing, police work as best as you can. But at the same time, again, you're still within it. You're still practicing your profession again.
And there's room for that in the service.
And there's room for that. And it gives you room to grow.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because, many people think that if you're a police officer, that's it.
No.
No.
And a good example, I've been teaching at USIU. I taught at the
USIU. That you're a lecturer as well.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in the police college, I worked in the National Police Service College. You know, it used to be called Loresho Campus. Yes. So, it's a master program for police officers. We ran for a whole year, and we collaborate with the UK and the Kenyan police. So as a lecturer, when I'm there, I was also teaching.
Okay.
at USIU.
Allow me to take a break before I'm given a lecture by my director here.
Yeah, okay.
We are taking a very short break. We've just started. Today we want to demystify the whole myth behind the police service. You know, you can't be a police officer at the same time you're a lecturer. We'll be discussing more when we come back after this break. Stick around.
You're not leaving me, Pete, not now.
Christine, unajisikia kweli?
Have respect for the dead.
Did he have even respect for his own wife?
I underestimated you, but now I understand better.
Good for you.
Wewe ni mlevi, and mimi, I'll bounce back.
It was not in my place to tell you anything.
You've not yet been married to our family,
And I could be securing my future.
I'll teach the two of you a lesson.
You okay? What's going on here?
Honey, I was telling you about...
About what? I'm doing fine.
Just fine? Fine is not good enough. Is she in custody?
Not yet, my lady.
You're under arrest.
You will learn more at the station. Now, come with us.
No, I'm not going. I haven't done anything.
They're accusing you for murder.
She killed my husband. I have children who grow up without a father. Do you have children, huh?
That piece of paper is taking you to prison for life.
But you're not going to allow her to go to jail, are you?
Utasema mke wangu mimi? Wewe umemwoa kwa mahari, umefunga nikaha, unampatia chakula, mavazi na nyumba, kila kitu, mke wako. Alafu mtu from nowhere au ni rafiki akwambia tumchangie, unaweza ukaleta mpaka uadui kwa sababu hicho kilma.
Hakika swala zangu na vichinjo vyangu na vile vile maisha yangu na kifo changu vyote ni vya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na mie ni mmoja wa Waislamu.
I'm still gonna try. I'm up in the clouds with no wings. I'ma fly, oh fly away, fly away, fly away.
Development follows roads. Whenever a road is opened, the economic activities are always part.
Tumefurahia sana kwa president wetu juu ametutengenezea hii barabara. Hata mashamba yetu sasa itakuwa na value, na hiyo tumeshukuru sana.
Sisi ndio tuna build hii country. The future is in our hands.
Yote haya kwenye KBC Channel 1 Ijumaa saa 2:30 usiku.
and welcome back. And in studio, I have with me Dr. Rezila Anyango, who is a Senior Superintendent of Police and who is also a PhD holder and the police service, as well as police spokesperson Bruno Shioso. Before we took a break, you were talking about something to do with the representation in the police service. Perhaps you can just pick it there, because when you talk of the representation right now, the gender balance, most people think that it's only a job meant for men, but that is not the entire truth. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yes.
Police worldwide, not just in Kenya, is traditionally male dominated.
Exactly.
Yeah, because police is paramilitary, so that's what it has been. And even if you look at the country itself, is patriarchal in nature largely, but things are changing. And so, if you look at the police even around the world, worldwide, representation of women in the police is usually very low. Yeah, it's still very low, and so many departments of police are all trying to bring that number up. And so Kenya is doing quite well compared to, when you look at empirical data or studies. Kenya is doing quite well because we have almost around 14 to 15% representation of women, and in many countries it's hardly 5%. So this has been very, very deliberate move through during recruitments or promotion. You get that the women have more representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Bruno, your office is just
maybe before that, let me just add something about
from there.
The gender question. Yeah, the way Dr. has just said, Kenya, we're doing really very well globally by global standards. Like when you go to the UN, their policies are what you call the parity, gender parity, 50-50. That's the new Secretary General, and he's really trying to push it, and he's really doing very well. Kenya, by virtue of our constitution, we talk about the affirmative action. At least we are trying to push to 30%, but you can see we are doing somewhere close to around, we are midway there, around 15%, which is really, really good. And as we are trying to push numbers for female right from the bottom, through enlistment, we are again trying to push them through promotions at all levels.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you for sure, if you look at all the data, you'll find that Kenya has a higher representation of female in those high levels. High levels. Right from, Assistant Inspector General of Police, assistants, going downwards. So we try to push as many women, and not just out of tokenism, because we're trying to fulfill a requirement. No, out of competence, out of skills.
Out of merit.
These are women who merit those positions.
Yes.
Give them a task, they do it very well. I can give you some very good examples. Go to the APS. We have an all-gender female SWAT team. You know what a SWAT team is?
Yeah,
it's like a cobra.
Exactly.
If you work the cobras.
Yes.
All female SWAT team. No, there's no male there, right from the commander, bottom. The other day, I was running, I ran a kind of a tweet, just on our beautiful police music coming from the band. The top lady, very senior, AIG. AIG is Assistant Inspector General of Police. She's an AP woman, commanding the band. Go to Western region.
Yes.
The police, the police used to call the PPO. Now is a regional police commander. She's a female. And there's so many, at county levels.
Yes.
Go to the directors, at headquarters, flooded by women. Even in JSU, which is, like now, a kind of a military unit, which is a paramilitary. There's a female commissioner of police, very top there, who's a hard-nosed commander. So what I'm saying is we're really trying to make sure that we're giving female within the police service as a policy of the Inspector General equal footing. But of course, as she said rightly, already police historically was a male space. So we're trying now to bring more numbers from below, but those which are already there, we're trying again to push them up through merit, not tokenism.
Our constitution is also, perceived to be one of the most advanced constitutions.
Very progressive. Yeah, very. Yeah.
So we just have to go with the constitution, because if you don't do as per the constitution, you'll be called to answer so many questions.
But what I'm saying, I want to stress that as we are going with the constitution, it's not just a matter of the constitution fulfilling the requirements. We're trying to look for competency.
Exactly.
And they are competent. you'll see a woman who's an OCS, an OCBD, a county commander, or whatever. She's in that office not just because she's trying to fulfill, a requirement of the constitution, but because she deserves being in that position, or even much more.
Absolutely.
They are doing a great job.
You talked
alongside men.
Exactly. You talked of being a lecturer. Allow me to understand this. When you walk into a classroom, paint for me a picture when you walk into a classroom. Do they see you as a police officer or as their teacher, as their lecturer? What is the student-lecturer relationship like?
It's a university. Now here I wear my hat as a lecturer.
Yes.
But it is an advantage to the universities. Why? Because when you criminal justice field where I am, or criminology, it's a new field in Kenya.
Yeah.
And if you have practitioners coming from the field with the knowledge and the expertise to teach, I think it's such a plus for those universities. And this one I learned in the US, where I learned, because in the United States they bring the criminal justice experts to talk with the students. And so you'll have from the prison heads, you have the police chiefs, you have everybody across the board. You'll have the court sending the judges to come and speak with the students.
Yes.
And so that to me is I've walked into those classrooms, and when they wouldn't know I'm a police officer, and
they see you as a lecturer. That's it.
Yeah, at some point.
So today you expose yourself. Your students are seeing you live today.
At some point they know. At some point, one or two will always know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and this just brings the aspect of now many students are now studying criminal justice in the country. What is the total number, an average number of students in your class?
When I was at USIU, I would have about 30 students, depending on the course.
Yes.
Yeah, because there are core courses which would have as much as that. Some courses would have the minimum university requirements. Yeah.
But Bruno, your offices must be a very busy office.
Very busy, yeah.
Does it give you pressure? Because from where we are right now, there's a lot of pressure in the service. Literally, when you have brilliant brains like yours today here, it must be giving a lot of pressure even to people who are aspiring to get into the service.
Yeah, there is so much pressure in my office.
Yes.
Because like a focal point, so many other issues. But I thank the leadership of the IG and his DIGs, because they really support me to make sure that I deliver. And again, I have a very, I have a very small team, but very dedicated, well trained. If they came to this studio, they'll give you a run for your money, because they are trained. Actually, in my office, I'm the only person who's not a trained journalist. But the rest of the young boys over there,
wow, that's
very smart
amazing.
boys who've gone to school, done journalism.
Yeah.
So they are doing an amazing job supporting me. And then again, I've tried to cultivate a very, good relationship with my colleagues, and I'm trying to push it again outside to the publics. You see, so there's so much work, too much pressure. But I know when you have all this support, then you get the comfort, And then when you're doing something that you feel is impacting positively, it gives you again that joy, that satisfaction.
Yeah.
So that's my situation. But so far so good. We're up to the task. Yeah.
I'm interested in asking you, Daktari.
Yes.
How did you manage to balance family, profession, and education?
It's not easy.
Yes,
It's
family,
not
education,
easy.
and profession.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, this one I'm very grateful to my seniors, right from the IG to the DIGs. The support I got was to be given that space to go to study. So I've done full-time studies for the graduate school. And so when I got these scholarships, and as you see, I've won quite a few scholarships. I have the Ford Foundation International Fellowships Program. I have the PEO International Peace Support Scholarship. The World Bank gave me the Margaret McNamara Education Grant. I have the Dr. James Fife Fellowship from the US. So it's and then the Graduate Center Fellowship. So all this, the police gave me the time to go. I think that is very, very key that, and I'm very grateful to the senior leadership for having given me that. So you have to balance. It was not easy, honestly, but the fact that I was out of service at that time, for those 5 or 7 years I've been out, it was worth doing.
It was worth.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to read something here.
Yeah.
The National Police Service, in a congratulatory statement, described Dr. Rezila's academic research work, saying, under the East Africa Standby Force, that is EASF, and the Peace Operations Training Institute, Dr. Rezila has carved a niche as a certified and dependable regional facilitator for the Integrated Mission Planning course, a curriculum designed for the military, police, and civilian components. Her academic research work has focused more on comparative criminology and criminal justice, gender issues in policing and peace support operations, crimes against children, and terrorism within East Africa. I'd love to ask you a question. This is huge from the police service. When you focus more on criminal justice and gender issues, what rings a bell in your head?
Yeah, that's a lot, and maybe I pick it up just to put it into context.
Yes.
I am a certified regional facilitator, as it says. The Eastern African Standby Force and the International Peace Support Training Center in Karen, they teach the integrated courses for the military, the police, and civilians. And we that's where I teach, and we do it, of course, under the AU, it's the UN. The framework. So, I'm sorry, what's your question about this?
We talk about criminal justice and gender issues, yes.
Yeah, when I teach at the the ESF or the IPSTC, I focus on policing and the gender roles within the peace support operations. And so I look at the gender and diversity issues, the matters of crimes against children. When I worked with Interpol, I was in the crimes against children unit, which is within the police department. And so I looked at the sexual abuse and exploitation
which is quite
of children.
still rampant.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, especially online.
Yes.
So we did that within the Eastern African region. So I was covering Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, Tanzania. We had South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, and Rwanda. We were looking at the nature, the extent of the prevalence of online child sexual abuse and exploitation, which is something that I must appreciate Kenya, the National Police Service in Kenya has made tremendous, rather significant move in addressing, because Kenya has become the first country to be connected to the Interpol ICSE database. That is the International Child Exploitation Database. And then we have been connected directly to NECMEC, the National Center for Missing Children. It's a clearinghouse in the United States. So we receive the cyber tips directly from NECMEC. To the Directorate of Criminal Investigations here, we have a specialized unit, the Anti-Human Trafficking Child Protection Unit, which handles matters of sexual abuse, particularly online. So this is one area that the police is giving, attention, because it's getting, with the exposure to the internet, and the internet penetration in Kenya is very high. Children are on full-time on internet. The exposure is high, the vulnerability is high. So that is where we are.
And this perhaps gives the police service a lot of pressure as well, just to control it. But it's either way, the parents will also play a role.
Yeah, you need also to monitor what children are doing online. A lot is going on online. And that study, for anybody that would like to read it, it's open. It's already published by Interpol. It's on Interpol website. And we did that for this region and part of Asian region. And so it's a very important
Why East Africa, to be specific?
Why East Africa? No, a lot has been done in Europe and in the US. And so it was important that they also we do something in Africa and parts of Asia. And so these were just some of and I don't speak for Interpol. I'm not an Interpol staff anymore. And it's just a starting point. Yes.
And maybe just some context, maybe just to enrich the question on criminal justice and gender. Vis-a-vis what Rezila does at the Peace Support College as a trainer or a facilitator. You see, the recipients of those trainings at those two centers in Karen, mostly they are deployed outside the country in peace support, peace operations around the globe. And these areas are areas which rife with conflicts, or they're very vulnerable, or just emerging from conflict areas, and they have broken criminal justice systems. So based on that, the UN and maybe the other international players, they have to move in to stabilize, and that's using the peace, the law enforcement and the militaries in terms of, giving basic security structures. And because of that, by virtue of how those places are, without any government and proper systems of security, taking their officers, we believe that there should be a very strong component, of gender, of some kind of gender balance. So we like taking their female officers because we know of the role the female officers will do in those kind of areas in building trust again. Because these are women, the way she just mentioned issues of gender-based violence against the women. You see where there's conflict. People who really suffer are the female, are the women, and the children. So we believe as we are taking their officers to establish law and order, a good chunk of them must be female. Who will now try to work with the women, with the children, build trust and establish, that kind of confidence in those structures of governance. So I'm just trying to enrich, the question around criminal justice.
Exactly. So it means that Kenya plays a very pivotal role in peacekeeping.
A big one, exactly one, is a very big major role in peacekeeping operation around the whole globe. Even if you go to Europe, you'll find we have our footprint right from Eastern Europe. Anyway, name it, Kenya must be involved somewhere. And even right from the UN headquarters operations. In plannings and all those kind of issues.
Does this give us a niche in the market, in the service globally, in terms of keeping at par with our peers and our brothers and sisters across the globe? Because when you talk of giving expertise to other countries, we have got others serving in the AU, AMISOM, and what have you.
Definitely. And that's why they keep it for now. Okay, this maybe even before I talk about police, look at Kenya itself. Where is Kenya right now? In the UN Security Council. You know what that means?
We are a member.
It's a really big thing. Globally. That just shows Kenya's leadership in the way Kenya is perceived and respected around the world in terms of security. Then come down, as we're talking right now, 2 or 3 months ago, our Inspector General of Kenya was appointed unanimously as the president of the AFRIPOL General Assembly. That's now the continental body, bring all the law enforcement around.
That's a huge mantle.
That's Africa, It's big, it's really big. So right now Kenya is enjoying again that for 2 years. As we were talking again a month ago, our DCI, Director of Criminalization, was elected on the governing again body of Interpol, globally. As a delegate for Africa, a very big thing. We have a Kenyan, Mr. Kimilu. He's the one coordinating, where Rezila was.
The Regional Bureau.
The Regional Bureau for Interpol, based in Nairobi. The Executive Director is a Kenyan, but these are around 14 countries for the region.
So there's something we need to be proud of.
There's so many other small things. And there's no initiative globally on security or law enforcement that Kenya will not be represented or its input is not sought.
So we have a say.
Wherever there's something happening, it just shows, how we perceived outside there. It's so sad, that back home, people have some misgivings about us.
The good book says that.
Globally, when we go out there, we are hot cake. It's a big thing. Just Kenya. Right from UN, headquarters itself. Kenya goes there, is highly respected.
The good book says that a prophet was never recognized at home.
All right. So sad.
Okay, so there's nothing new under the sun either way. All right, let's take a break once again. We're just getting started. I'm getting to learn more that, as a nation, we have got a lot of stake in terms of global security as far as that is concerned. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're still having this discussion after this particular break. Stay around.
You don't want me to worry, but you don't realize when no one will talk to me, it causes me to worry more.
I can't wait to see your face when I serve you this soup.
Your company still owes me. When will you pay me back? Debts should be repaid. If you have any integrity, you'll agree to that.
I said tenfold. So pay me back triple.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去好久不再。
Unamtakia nini?
Kwani wewe ndiye Leo?
Hajalishi wewe sema utakaje.
Yaani utakwambia kweli kabisa? Kama mamako alikwambia nilifariki, basi alikudanganya.
Wewe usijifananishe na Bahati Maya.
Kwa sababu ya ujinga wa mume wako, mtafilisika kabisa.
Misha kwa mtu mzima. Na najua maana ya kuwa huru, lakini yeye hataki kunielewa.
Mimi si kama
mwana wa nyoka ni nyoka.
De traición. He killed my wife! Shoot him!
I want you to go to the DA's office.
All right, thank you so much for still staying with us. I have got 3 questions here, and question number 1, this is for you, Daktari. Kenyan police have been accused of corruption, being at the center stage, used as a muscle by boys, by politicians, etc. What do you talk about that in terms of corruption? This for all of you.
For all of us?
Yes.
You know, the country as we are, the government is making efforts, and police in particular, not to condone corruption. And so we have, of course, measures in place, like the ESCC is there. The police takes, if you're found in corruption, there is no police officer that is protected. You just go to court, and the law takes its way. And so it is, we do not condone that in the police service. At the same time, it is one thing we cannot run away from and say it does not exist in 1 or 2 cases.
Yes.
But when it happens, the law takes its course. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'll say that the police, they are part of the community and society, and they're as good as the society, or as bad or as evil as the society they come from. So from where we sit as police, we acknowledge that we have issues, infractions, issues of corruption, which is not syndicated. It's been not institutionalist. Some few bad elements, some few bad apples in another good barrel.
Yes.
Our barrel of policing is really good. We have policies in place. We have strategies. We have even the laws that guide what we do. And we have clear standards on our expectations, right from even the oath of service that we take. So there's no excuse for police officers being corrupt.
Yeah.
But again, they say in corruption, it takes two to tango. So as we cast aspersion, or as we accuse the police, of course we know some of them do some bad things. We take action promptly, as the way the Dr. said. Others who believe their perceptions, which are generalized, that because one is bad, so the rest are bad. But we know and we understand, because police is the only feasible face of government, and again the feasible face of society. So seeing an officer on the road taking a small bribe, everybody will see that, and it looks really awful, so bad. But it doesn't mean that those two victors like you yeah, in an office, yeah, a civilian in an office,
yes,
taking a big bribe is a good thing. It's just that nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
So we're saying that it's just a representation of the society. If a policeman takes a bribe, believe me or not, 10 other Kenyans, in whichever space they are in,
are also taking this. Yeah.
They are taking that, or even worse.
Yeah.
The only difference is that nobody's seeing that. But then again, with the police again, by virtue of the powers we are given and the responsibility, so much is expected out of us. So we have
a lot of focus is on you.
Yeah, focus is on us, and not just even focus itself under those pressures, but even ourselves. I mean, we must stand on a higher, a moral ground. You know, like Caesar's wife.
Yes.
Because so much is given to us by the people. They expect so much from us, the way you are rightly saying, and we have to satisfy that.
Okay.
So as police, from where we sit, we have no excuse of getting involved in corruption or other malpractices. We have just to live by our oath of service, our training, and all the other exhortations from our seniors, leaderships, and the like.
Okay.
But equally again,
yes,
let the public again re-examine themselves and tell us if they are that clean.
All right.
Thank you.
The second question here is that how can the police be reformed, especially to be more service-oriented, like British and American police services? This you've talked about, and you've talked that Kenya, we at a higher pedestal as compared to our peers globally. So perhaps this question is just, are we at the same page with our colleagues out there?
Yeah, those might be again other perceptions.
Right.
Yeah, I know when we sit over here, we believe anything from the West is best, including KFC chips. Their potato is better than our potato. You know, I mean, those are to me, those are just perceptions.
Exactly.
But at times again, you see the problem with Kenya, we don't really invest in research, and we shall challenge Dr. here to lead, I mean, other scholars. You see, we have to take so much time so that we can research our institution and see, so that we can see our baseline. We just like talking, but without knowing what our baseline is. And if we try to invest in that, we might even discover that we are much further. Like, you know, she's just giving some very basic, statistics on how Kenya female, Kenya police in female is doing globally.
14-15%.
Comparatively to 5% of those major countries. She's lived in the US maybe for, she's lived for more than maybe 10 years or thereabouts.
7 years.
7 years. And she'll tell you the ugly side of the policing over there. She will. I've been there like for 3 thereabouts years. I mean, okay, these are all countries, all democracies. They have systems which are in place, the institutions, but they mean that there are no malpractices or these bad elements. Stuff happen over there. Having said that, the questions are on reforms. We are right now, as Kenya National Police Service, we are right now on that reform trajectory. We're trying, working so hard, putting systems in place, mechanisms in place to see how we can break this gap through initiatives. Just first of all, we have that philosophies in place, so we are trying to tweak around with the philosophies. And last time I was here, I shared with you some of them.
Exactly.
And I challenged even to call some of these officers to come over here and talk to them, see the amazing work they are doing there. We are putting in place, I mean, clear initiatives where we want to see how we can work together with the public. And I give you just some few examples last time. I spoke about Nakuru with the soccer. I spoke about Kisi with, I mean, those other partnerships. I spoke about, I mean, community policing like in Machakos. And so many other places, I mean, around the country. There are small initiatives coming up, and we encourage them to come up. Of course, there are all the issues of resources. But as we do that again, we want now the public to reach out to us and give us that benefit of doubt, try to reach us to us and talk to us, and even maybe put in their input, not just to categorize and bastardize and throw the kid with the bathwater.
Exactly. Doctor, you know what happens is that most people think that the gender parity and the gender, I beg your pardon, the gender balance that we are experiencing in the police force right now. How would you tell the young ladies aspiring to be like you, who are in the force, in the service right now, or who are still contemplating to join the service, because recruitment will happen soon?
That's a very good question. Honestly, the girl child, I would tell that girl child in any part of this country who has the passion to join the police. The police in this country has room for the growth of you as a police officer, not just as a female officer, but
Yes.
now we are focusing on gender. And gender doesn't mean just women, of course. So, but let me be a little bit focused on the girl child. They should. I encourage as many to join. They can pursue their lines. As I said at the beginning of the conversation, they can pursue their career here.
Yes.
The career is really, really diverse. The support is there. And the ones who are here, my fellow ladies in uniform, is that, the training is the same. Huh?
Yeah. The curriculum is the same.
The curriculum is the same. So when we pass out, we don't pass out as policemen and policewomen. We are police officers.
Yes.
So
And you take the same oath.
we take the same oath. And so I just encourage them that the line they take, let people know their line. Which is your line? The job is so wide. There are so many opportunities. Just take your line, pursue your line. I've taken my line, I've pursued it. It has been clear that we can do it as female officers. And so the room is there, and encourage them just to not be that even if it comes to promotion, I get promoted because I'm a woman. I'm never in that school. No, that is not my school. No, we have to compete fairly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you talk of promotion, the issue of promotion in the police service has been a very thorny issue. Some say that they've not been promoted for so many years. Perhaps the measures that we may not be aware of, some of the measures that the service is taking to ensure that everybody, based on merit, is promoted and to reach that that rank that they deserve. What's happening behind the scenes? Perhaps if you can share.
Yeah, you see, promotion is guided by policy. And there is a very clear policy. It stipulates, exactly for each position, the basic, bare minimum requirements. And then beyond that, there are other issues of discipline, blah, blah, blah. But you see, you can't just promote everybody. First of all, you get a job, and then you try to work upwards. But then there's an issue of expectations. You see, as an employee, you have expectations. You feel you are due for promotion to maybe the next level. But again, the employer, they have the expectations again.
Yes.
Over you
to perform.
So that balance again can become a bit tricky.
Yeah.
And get lost somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, but all I can say is that there's a very robust policy in place, which is followed to the letter. And police promotions are some of those the most open forms of promotion I've ever seen. I don't know how you guys are promoted, because maybe I believe in the private sector or other sectors, somebody maybe in the corner office will decide who to promote.
Yes.
And then you get your letter. But for us, there'll be an open announcement that the stipulation will be published. People will be, will come forward, and then you go through a process which is open. And the filings is there. If you want to check my promotions up to from the first one, you'll get those files that you can go and audit them. So I believe those are some good measures of openness. But all I can say is that just to encourage officers. Like yesterday, a very funny, maybe I can just share an example. Yesterday, I just opened my phone, WhatsApp, I saw a message from somebody who's listed me in my WhatsApp group. So he just say, hi, I'm so-and-so, police constable. He didn't say where he works, but he gave me his name and his number and told me, there's something that's been disturbing me. I'm at a breaking point. It's all about promotion, blah, 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 blah. And then, he didn't ask for promotion. He just, I want somebody who can talk to me and advise me. So I took a deep breath. I was so busy, I left what I was doing, and then I started, chatting with the boy. He was a boy, a man, yes. So those issues are there, but all I can do is to advise officers. To me, what I believe in, and that's how I've come up, I've never focused on promotions. I've focused on service.
Delivery.
Service delivery.
Good.
And what makes me happy when I go home is that today I had a fruitful day, in office. And I did the best I can. I eat my lunch at my desk. And some people, why? I tell them, no, I eat my lunch at my desk because I can't stand somebody having come over long time with a problem, a member of the public, to see me, and I've gone for lunch. But I tell them, I attend to you as I eat my lunch, if you would mind. So tell me, and I'm eating. So when I go home, and I've done the best for that particular day, that's my focus. Because to me, I say, if God has given me life, and he gave me a job. Let me just do whichever level is given. Other things will just follow. Yeah. Just do your best and be content with what you have at that particular moment. And you'll be surprised, that promotion will just come. They'll just follow. But when you focus on the promotions, you'll miss something on the service delivery.
Yeah, that perhaps would have propelled you to that promotion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So don't really get fixated in a particular direction that what you are looking for maybe is not in that. Even you might get that promotion, but it won't make you happy.
Yes.
But you can just do your job and be very happy. And then somehow you are rewarded in some other ways. Yeah,
absolutely. Dr. when you talk about terrorism in East Africa, it's quite prevalent and it's a global threat. Terrorism, and each and every country is experiencing terrorism in any form. But Kenya, we've had our fair share. And in terms of your research and study, what do you think we can do as a nation to just control terrorism to a bare minimum, if possible?
There may never be one straight answer to that question. Because terrorism is not, as you put it, it's not just a problem in Kenya. It's a global issue. Many countries are putting in counter-terrorism measures to address countering violent extremism. And the National Police Service is no exception. I believe, the last 5 years or so, we've done quite well. And I believe the situation has been relatively calm because we have the anti-terrorist police unit. They are doing their work. All the police officers remain vigilant, but it is not one of those criminal or crime issues that you can just have a straight answer to and say, we do this, we sort it out overnight. In developed countries would have already sorted it out.
But so Kenya, we are doing pretty well too.
We are doing quite well.
We're doing really well, and the Secretary just said, terrorism is a very complicated, and very dynamic kind of a field.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it requires so many approaches. For us police, we try to approach it from the law enforcement, which is a very small area, you see. But for you to tackle terrorism, holistically, wholesomely, we have to go back to, first of all, we do deep root analysis, and then we work from the baseline. And that means what? It means focus and investment in this social-political issues, first of all. Because, when you look at terrorism in isolation and look at the motivations, but we have to look again at the feeding ground.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
They're just normal people like me and you. Who are taken advantage of by those people, the other, maybe the actors of the terror actors. They don't do it themselves. They'll have to look for me to recruit. Where do they recruit from? Just me and you and our boys and girls. So, and these boys, when you drill down, and then I'm talking about the root cause analysis, you'll find that their issues, maybe they're jobless, they'll go to maybe this informal settlements. That's why they get this kind of
promises of
promises of these small things, and then they brainwash them. And so let's try to work from there first of all, and those are policy issues which are outside the ambit of law enforcement. We deal with the political and socio-economic issues first of all, and that's why you'll find that when you come to the strategy, the overarching strategy of NCTC, there's a huge component on countering of violent extremism. That's not really law enforcement. That's basically working with the group and the normal, the normal society. Down there, we invest in the youth, we invest in those vulnerable groups, and do the right things for them so that they can really get their bearings right. So that one, first of all, you cut that that link of recruitment. Then once you do that, then the rest, or most of the rest now, it can be a law enforcement issue now, as police and our actors. And when it comes to police and our actors, other actors, or our partners, we have to invest, apart from now hardening the security, like border security, there's those screenings and those kind of stuff. We have also to do so much, and that's globally, on intelligence. Intelligence and intelligence.
I would like to ask you this question, Daktari. You are the first female officer in 115 years to earn a PhD. Are you feeling threatened that somebody might come and take away the title?
How do you take history once it's written? In this country, once in this country, the first president of this country was black. We know that. It was President Kenyatta.
Yes,
you cannot change that history. It's what it is, right?
It is what it is.
Yes. So this one, it's my joy actually is that. Let me tell you one thing. PhD is not for everybody.
It's not.
Many
people fail along the way.
Yes, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Exactly.
There's a lot more that goes in there, and by the time you reach your third year, I did 5 years, and that is really minimum in the US. My classmates, some of them went to 8 years. So it is not one of those things I would say, I now want all police women to have PhD. No.
Yes. You have to be intentional about it.
And a PhD for what? What do you want to do with it? Because you are good enough with a master degree, but then you go to that side, decide where you want to do it. And so I'm not threatened. It is my joy when I'll see other officers, not just women, all colleagues who are interested, and I'm available. Usually, even now, some of them, they speak with me. Remember, I've had this for 3 years since I graduated. So I'm always very happy for officers that reach out to me and tell me they are studying, maybe they're doing their master or undergraduate, and they need help. And I even do that with students from other universities who look at me as, you can mentor me in this. So that is the best thing you can do. You mentor others. Yes. So no threat to me at all.
Okay. It went way back in a village. Do they call you Daktari? Officer. Or sister. There are those names, back in the village.
Home, you are just who you are. Those ones they call you when you are a kid.
Okay. And perhaps as a closing remark, we are in a situation where the world is advancing and education is key. Talk to that person out there, not a police officer, anybody who is pursuing education, because without education, there's nothing left.
I would tell the girls, the little ones, education is good. It is good. It's a platform that brings you to meet and connect and relate with people that social class would not allow you probably to interact with. So that is one advantage of it. It's important to have it. But at the end of the day, we appreciate also that the country, the government has that free education. So me, I just encourage that all parents should let kids go to school, because education in primary is free, high school it's quite affordable. They let the kids go to school, those ones who join the service, and I encourage they come because they're interested in the police service. Let them not come because they don't have a job.
Because that's what they want to do.
They should be interested in the police service, and then we serve the nation for good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Director, in just 1 minute, when I show so the police, your office produced the first issue of the police newsletter. Perhaps, Director, if you can just give us that copy, the first police newsletter ever, if you have it. Yeah, there we have it. National Police Service newsletter. There you go. You can scroll it down. It goes to, that is the first, this is the first issue of the police newsletter ever.
The first one ever, yeah.
What does it entail? How does it make you feel that, in your tenure, this is being achieved?
Yeah, I feel good about it. Something maybe I've never shared. Something I've never shared maybe with you is that, apart from my normal police duties, I know how to manage projects. Yes, I'm a project manager by training, although not certified. So I just like coming up with initiatives. That I can align and support the vision of the organization and the Inspector General, and of course of my office. And for me, I have to communicate and communicate effectively. And there are so many other mediums I'm using to do that. But then I feel that there's so much happening from within in terms of strategy, strategic issues and policy. And they're not well captured and not well communicated outside. So I say that within some of them maybe I'll try maybe to pull them out there, but somehow they get lost again. They fizzle out. So I was like, within a quarter, let me start with a quarter. Every quarter, those are 4 quarters in a year.
Yeah.
Where can I be sitting down at the end of every quarter? I condense those key issues, not all.
Either way. All right, thank you so much. We've been speaking to police spokesperson Shoso Bruno, who is also been a guest here in studio. Thank you so much for joining us, as well as Dr. Rezila Anyango, all right, who is a PhD holder. Did I just come back to my PhD holder? All right, the first female PhD holder in Kenya, the first female to put it into perspective. Thank you so much for joining us, and even speaking to the younger generation out there, inspiring them to become who they are. All right, and you as a viewer, we thank you for your valid company. We are taking a break. We are not yet done. Jane will be back with more. We'll be right back.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, and say hi to the IG. Please, Mwambia akuje. We need to have a conversation. All right.
Yeah, but even I'm here,
yes,
he's here.
He's represented.
Yeah.
Thank you
fully,
so much.
Fully.
All right.
Asante.
Asante.
Yeah.
Development follows roads. Whenever a road is opened, the economic activities are always part.
Tumefurahia sana kwa president wetu juu ametutengenezea hii barabara. Hata mashamba yetu sasa itakuwa na value, na hiyo tumeshukuru sana.
Sisi ndio tuna build hii country. The future is in our hands.
Yote haya kwenye KBC Channel 1 Ijumaa saa 2:30 usiku.
Turns away, the sun sends the day. I got you, baby. I got you, baby.
My friend, from my friend, the ones that true and not sell out. That one you for my friend, from my friend. When I step out for the money alone, this I want.
All right, welcome back. The program was just tracking the progress for you on what is actually happening on this particular route. This is the Kisumu Mamboleo Muhoroni Road, which is what we are looking at this morning in terms of traffic. I had told you earlier that this is one of those roads that was commissioned by the president in 2020. When it comes to that construction bit of that road, is actually a 4.9 kilometer road, and this is because of how instrumental it is, just linkage to the airport there, as well as one of those roads when it comes to transportation of most especially sugar from areas around Zoya as you head over to this particular areas and even beyond past there coming to Nairobi there. So this is why this particular road was actually commissioned. And just away from that bit is that it has stayed in a very poor state for a long time, for decades, since 1960 when that reconstruction happened. And it has been a very poor state, which has been leading to heavy kind of traffic around this area. Even look at how it is looking like in that particular junction. Right now, traffic building up in that specific area as you leave the Vihiga Mamboleo junction, heading to sections of Kisumu and also leaving that particular area as you come to areas around Nairobi. So this is how it is looking like. The construction process is still ongoing, and this is also why there's perhaps this kind of traffic that we are spotting or that we are seeing there because of obviously those kinds of activities. As we move along, I'll be showing you how it's progressing, where it is as at now. But so far, this is how it is looking like. Traffic, yes, it is there, not as heavy as how you'd expect to see simply because of that construction. But nonetheless, it is still, you know, the traffic is being spotted there. So we obviously expect it to perhaps end sometime, maybe sooner. They haven't really quite put a specific date or time to it. But just as I mentioned, became one of those very, very important roads when it came to that reconstruction bit. So away from that area, still sticking on the traffic flow around that specific area, leaving the areas around Mamboleo, coming to sections around Kisumu area, branching off to Nyerere Road as well, one of those slip roads there, not looking really that bad, moving at a very swift pace. But again, remember that also that around areas of Kisumu, there's still some areas whereby there's a lot happening when it comes to construction, and that is the Ahero Junction, again, one of those key as well as very, very instrumental areas. So obviously, when you look at the construction processes, that hasn't just been happening in Nairobi, but also in areas around Mombasa. We looked at what was happening, or what happened in Mombasa City yesterday because of it being a tourist hub. We look at what is happening today at areas around Mamboleo, Muhoroni Junction. And just remember that particular name, Muhoroni Junction. So clearly one of those areas when it comes to the economic growth. And this is why, like I mentioned, became very important when it comes to that reconstruction. In fact, what is happening in that area is a complete reconstruction. Like I said, as we progress with the traffic, I will be showing you images of how that particular route look like and how that construction process is looking like, and also how it is expected to eventually look once that construction process or project is complete. Now, looking at that economic factor and perhaps what we also would be tending to lose as a country, not just because the traffic flow or a traffic build up altogether, but again also in terms of economy, I think that is why it also became very necessary not just to expand, but reconstruct that entire route altogether. So basically what is happening in that area is actually a total, complete construction process. Back the traffic flow, this is still how it is looking like. Nothing is changing around this area as you branch off to areas of Kibos, heading over to sections around Kisumu. Still nothing is changing. Areas around Kondele moving at a very swift pace as you head over to that particular junction. Still the same as how it was. Also leaving the junction, heading over to the marketplace. Now look at how what exactly I was talking about is that becoming one of those key instrumental areas, and especially when it comes to the economic growth of this country, also obviously because it gets to lead off to one of those major markets around that area, around Mamboleo. So clearly also one of those reasons why, aside from the major road being reconstructed altogether, one of those minor as well as slip roads will also get to benefit from this entire process. And the reason is still very much the same. Again, back the traffic flow, still nothing is changing, the same as how it was, just a slight build up as you head over to the junction there, and also as you leave that particular junction, coming through areas and sections of Kisumu there. That is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic. Just been trying to keenly focus on what has been happening at this particular area. That is the Kisumu Mamboleo Muhoroni Road, one of those roads and areas that really has become very important and necessary when it comes to that reconstruction process. And as I mentioned, up until that construction process is actually complete, it clearly just means we'll continue to keep tabs on that specific route, and specifically also that area, try to see how all that is coming along, how it is expected to shape the face of Kisumu City and specifically areas around Mamboleo once that construction process is complete. At 12 minutes past 9 a.m., that is how it is looking like in terms of traffic in Kisumu County.
continue with Good Morning Kenya from that beautiful discussion there with Victor to the traffic. We now move on to our Women at the Forefront segment. This is all about women who are doing phenomenal things in the different spaces that they find themselves in, just to break that glass ceiling that society has put there for whatever reason that we are still yet to find out. And we welcome you to be part of this conversation. We are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jane Wamboy across all the socials. And again, if you have to leave the comfort of your home, do take us with you. Stream us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. So right now we are joined by one phenomenal lady. This lady is hilarious. If you have interacted with her on the socials, I know there's a video I saw of her on TikTok, and she'll be telling us a bit about it. But joining us from Atlanta, Georgia, we have Jamila Kizondo, who is the founder of J. Kizondo Swahili Bites. Good morning, Jamila.
Good morning.
How are you? How are you? But we'll be getting her in a bit. She is a beautiful lady who has traveled across the country. She was born and raised in Kenya, worked in the Kenyan different space, US. About all that, I don't want to get into it. She is best suited to tell us about her journey. So again, any questions that you may be having for her, because she is majorly focusing on the catering side of the divide, but in a different cultural space, and that is in the States. So she will be joining us in a bit. I do believe you're back with us, Jamila. Watupata?
Itabidi wazungumze na Safaricom ama Telecom.
All right, we will be getting her video in a bit, but before we even get to see your video, I think we can hear you. So tunaweza endelea kuongea tu kidogo before tupate video. Tuambie kidogo kuhusu venye watazamaji wanaweza kupata katika mitandao ya kijamii, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, zote wapatikanaje?
Mimi kwa Instagram utanipata with the name of J. Kizondo Swahili Bites. Kwa Facebook the same thing, J. Kizondo Swahili Bites. Kwa YouTube, J. Kizondo Swahili Bites.
Okay.
TikTok, J. Kizondo Swahili Bites.
J. Kizondo Swahili Bites.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hebu tuambie kidogo kuhusu, safari yako. You were born and raised in Kenya. Umefanya different jobs in the Kenyan space. Uka travel to other countries. Tuambie safari imekuwa vipi to getting to where you are before we get to talk about the J. Kizondo Bites, Swahili Bites.
The world is beautiful.
Yes.
But you wouldn't know the beauty of it until you really go there, Because in my life to explore different countries, not only Kenya. I'm from Mombasa, Congo, that's where I'm from. But if I'm gonna go on my dad's side, I'm from Tibi. You said Diani, Kwenda Ukunda huko, that's where my dad is from. So thankful I got a chance to school in Uganda. That was my first country for me to visit in East Africa. Uganda.
Yes.
And that's where I went for my degree journalism in Uganda. And then from there, I came back home. I worked with the Nation Media Group, with Pulse FM. Now it's Radio Rahma. And then I left nikaenda zangu Qatar.
Before kidogo tu kabla uendelee kutuambia kuhusu safari iliendea vipi, hata kidogo ushughulikie hiyo video. They've been able to identify shida iko wapi. Tatuambia kidogo tu.
Okay.
All right.
No problem.
All right, so remember we're talking with Jamila Kizondo. She is the founder of J. Kizondo Swahili Bites, which is a business that is based in the States where she is currently residing. Just, venturing out there and showing a different culture in a different space. So we are going to be with her in just a bit. But before we get back to that conversation, let us catch a very, very, very brief breather. We will be back.
You don't want me to worry, but you don't realize when no one will talk to me, it causes me to worry more.
I can't wait to see your face when I serve you this soup.
Your company still owes me. When will you pay me back? Debts should be repaid. If you have any integrity, you'll agree to that.
I said tenfold.
So hit me back triple.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去好久不再。
I want you to go to the DA's office and demand an... Wait, hold on. Do I understand you right? Are you trying to blackmail me, Rogelio? No.
If you don't,
lying.
Turns away, the sun sends the day, creeping into the gloom. If this is love, my dear, welcome to my world. And let us share, baby. I got you, baby. I got you, baby. My friend, the ones that true and not sell out. That one you for my friend, when not about for the money alone. This that one.
Unamtakia nini?
Kwani wewe ndiye Leo?
Hajalishi wewe sema utakaje.
Yaani utakwambia kweli kabisa?
Kama mamako alikwambia nilifariki, basi alikudanganya.
Wewe usijifananishe na Bahati Maya.
Kwa sababu ya ujinga wa mume wako, mtafilisika kabisa.
Misha kwa mtu mzima na najua maana ya kuwa huru, lakini yeye hataki kunielewa.
Mimi si kama
mwana wa nyoka ni nyoka.
Utasema mke wangu mimi? Wewe umemwoa kwa mahari, umefunga nikaha, unampatia chakula, mavazi na nyumba, kila kitu, mke wako. Alafu mtu from nowhere au ni rafiki akwambia tumchangie, unaweza ukaleta mpaka uadui kwa sababu hicho kilima.
Hakika swala zangu na vichinjo vyangu na vile vile maisha yangu na kifo changu vyote ni vya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na mie ni mmoja wa Waislamu.
I'm still gonna try. I'm up in the clouds with no wings. I'ma fly, oh fly away, fly away, fly away.
Mwalimu, I think we should work with the law of probability.
Madam Antibella, you are interfering with my lesson. Can you get out?
Oh, Mr. Fridge, please. Is that how you talk to your colleague?
Haram. A'udhu billah, Mr. Malim, I don't drink alcohol.
I'm already Antipera and we have pigwero kabisa.
Imagine that's why my plan this month is positivity, and I plan to achieve that by avoiding those other people.
Bwana Kinyanju, that sounds like a fundraising group, bwana. You come look for me after 10 years when you are desperately looking for a road, and you will see.
Go tell them wangoje till I finish with this lesson. Hii si soko, ni shule.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
You're not leaving me, Pete, not now.
Christine, unajisikia kweli?
Have respect for the dead.
Did he have even respect for his own wife?
I underestimated you, but now I understand better.
Good for you.
Wewe ni mlevi, and mimi, I'll bounce back.
It was not in my place to tell you anything.
You've not yet been married to our family, and
I could be securing my future.
I'll teach the two of you a lesson.
Research indicates that 21.5% of startups fail in the first year, with the majority collapsing by the 5th year. However, there is reprieve with the adoption of business incubation models that cushion startups by providing workspaces, training on bookkeeping, market access, and professional services.
We have SMEs who are here, they are registered with us, and once you come inside here you find there are several services that we provide. We have the motor vehicle fabrication, we have innovation and incubation center for the MSCs, and we also have the business development services that I'm talking about. And the business development services are actually provided for by most of the agencies who are here under the Biashara Center. We call it a hub.
The Kariobangi Biashara Hub is one such pioneer facility open to MSMEs seeking to start their franchise.
Nimekuwa kwa hii uwanja ya Msea Kariobangi kwa miaka 5, na hii uwanja inasaidia sana wanyabiashara wadogo kama mimi kwa kuwapea space ya kazi, na kuna training wanaofa kwa digital training ya computer, hata ya kazi yenyewe wanaofa.
As an incubator, it supports emerging businesses with several services such as assistance in building management teams, developing business and marketing plans, funds, professional services, shares equipment, as well as access to government agencies like the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards.
If it's a new business and they want to have a new product, we have the KBC guy here. They can tell them how to get the product to a standard level. We have the KRA, we help them to get their PIN certificates. We have the KIPI, we can help them to copyright their ideas. We have KIE, they can help them get funds. We have MSEA, we can offer business support. So there are many agencies involved here to help the SME grow.
How does one qualify for incubation?
It depends on what business you're having, because as you can see here, we usually have a lot of industrial works. So it depends. If it's something that is flammable, no, but other agencies can house you also.
After the vetting, the startup benefits from the facility's amenities, including space and access to electricity, for a period of 2 years.
How long does it take one to be incubated here? 1 year is just for you to work around your business and to see how to go about it. The next year, then we assist you in terms of market linkage and access. Once you're now full blown and you're able to stand on your own, then we let you go and fly away. Would you say that the center has met its objective? We can say we have met our target, because our customers are happy, they come, and we have even over subscription.
So far, over 1,200 traders have gone through the center.
Space ya kufanya kazi yenye iko secure kama hii huku nje hakuna. Kuna sehemu ukiacha gari huwezi acha gari ya mtu kama hii, ama mtu hawezi kutrust ufanye kazi kama hii kama amerelax. Lakini vile tulipata hii uwanja na iko secure, hatusumbuana na customer, hata customer wako na furaha, gari yao iko safe, malipo hapa ni mzuri, unaona iko ile favorable itufinyi.
Availability of power, water, security and secure infrastructure, yes, I definitely recommend.
Plans are underway to expand and operationalize the Biashara incubation hubs across the country.
Yeah, that is the way to go, because remember we are looking into manufacturing as a pillar for the economy. Remember, with manufacturing, then it comes the other services that you come with it, because we manufacture for the market, and therefore they cannot all come to Kariobangi, they will not all go to Nairobi, so we need to have them decentralized to these regions.
Safe locations to conduct business, security, capital. This is just some of the challenges that MSMEs face, especially startups. Government has already prioritized the manufacturing sector, and industrialization is at the fore. Plans are also underway to have such facilities expand to other counties across the country. If you're an SME, then you need to take advantage of these biashara hubs.
And we're back. We have sorted our Zoom manenos, and we're back to continue with the discussion that we did start earlier on with Jamila Kizondo, who is joining us via Zoom from Atlanta, Georgia. She is the founder of J Kizondo Swahili Bites. Ndo huyo hapo sasa muona. Habari asubuhi.
Salama mama, mjambo.
Wewe Mswahili kabisa. Now we just want to continue from where we left off. You know, you told us Uganda was the first country that you managed to travel to and study. Alafu kutoka hapo safari kaenda vipi? Very briefly.
Nikitoka hapo baba kama amepata hotel Tanzania, Tanga. So when I used to get my short breaks, I would go there and help him a bit, you know. Nikasukuma nikamaliza shule, nikaenda zangu Qatar. Nikafanya kazi na Costa Coffee. Kutoka hapo mzee akaaga dunia, so I went to United Arab Emirates. So United Arab Emirates ni pale ambapo ndo maisha yangu yalianza vizuri yani. That's what I would say. I'm really thankful for that country kwa sababu ni nchi ambayo mambo mingi mazuri yalitokea. Nilimpata mume wangu hapo, tukaoana, nikazaa mtoto wangu wa kwanza. And then from there, mume wangu is a professionally basketball coach. So he got transferred to Japan. So we left. We went to Japan. We lived in Japan, and we had also we had an opportunity to visit Oman, Malaysia, but Japan we stayed for like 3 years. Nikazaa mtoto wangu wa pili, kuzaa mtoto wangu wa pili ndio tukarudi zetu Amerika. Maisha sasa ndio naendelea Amerika. Lakini J Kizondo Swahili Bites, the movement started in Uganda.
The whole idea ilianza Uganda, but it has managed to flourish ambapo ulipo sahi.
I would say it started in Uganda kwa sababu wajua ukiwashaona ngoja pocket money, baba anachelewa kutuma. So your mind, akili inachemka nifanye nini. So what I used to do in school, nilianza kupikia watu hizo pilau, keki kidogo kukiwa na magathering. Nilikuwa nasuka watu nywele. But I would say my passion and the beautiful journey ilianzia Uganda, lakini ikasimama wima Japan.
Okay. Na huko reception ilikuwa vipi, given this is your culture, unapeleka huko ambapo, and you know Japan pia ni si country ambayo wamezoea kuona the other side of the continent, but ilikuwa reception ilikuwa vipi?
You know, when you go to a place with a mentality of mimi niko sawa, najipenda nilivyo, si lazima munipende, and then you just make the beautiful things out of it. Okay? So ni watu ambao they are very cultural, ni watu ambao they are very so much attached to their mila zao and everything. I respected that, but I managed to maneuver my ways, and I met very beautiful people. Nimefanya urafiki, I made very good friendship with very good women ambao wao ndio walinisaidia mimi mpaka nikajifungua mtoto wangu. Manake language, there was a very big problem with the language barrier.
Yeah.
Manake ni watu ambao wako so glued na their own language. So I couldn't speak the language, even though I used to go for some madarasa hapa na pale. I can speak basics. Konnichiwa, arigato gozaimasu. But kuna vitu zingine they're just too deep that I couldn't really express myself. So those women came forward and did that for me. So I really thank them big time.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Alafu kutoka Japan sasa mkaenda mkasettle ambapo mlipo sasa, that is Atlanta, Georgia, na safari bado kaendelea na J Kizondo Bites.
Oh yes. Sasa it was pretty hard for me, you know, kama umezoea kuhustle, mtu wa kujituma, alafu umefika mahali umekaa unaona kichwa talipuka tu. So my husband told me, you know what? Why don't you open up a page? You know, J Kizondo Swahili Bites, uanze kuweka picha zako za chakula. So I thank him kwa sababu yeye ndo aliniamsha, alikuwa nimelala, in a way. So,
and speaking of your social media pages, juzi tu nimekuwa hapo TikTok ukiwa na kiondo kwa kichwa una hawk products zako. Ndio hiyo. Ukiwa umevaa heels kwanza.
Should we talk about that video right now? Or
yes. Why did you decide to do that? I didn't get Kiswahili bana.
Okay, one thing I want the world to know is we are not allowed to do cooking in America. Tukubaliwi kuuza vyakula hivi kama nyumbani, you know, ama kuuza vitu hivyo. Kama nyumbani pale Kongoea nini tunakuja na njugu zake mabuyu, lakini huko hatukubaliwi. So I don't hawk. I do vendings. I do pop-ups. I do catering. I do private events. Sasa this was marketing strategy I had put in place. I was just trying to be creative, let me say. Okay? So, like any other entrepreneur, like any other business person, before you walk into the next commercial year, you need to have a business plan and a commercial calendar, right? Sasa, when we were coming over to 2022, me and my husband, kwa sababu he's my partner, he helps me a lot. So we normally sit down by September. Tunapanga how next year we're going to attack it. So what we did, nikamwambia skiza, 2022, I just want to try something new. I just want to spice up my page. You know, I'm tired of just putting pictures of chakula, pilau. Nani ajui pilau? Who doesn't know mahamri? So I said, I want to do something fun. I want to spice it up with some humor. Why humor? Because sababu, this is something that will bring a smile into so many, many faces. And there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot cooking in his head. So ile kichekesho itamdistract, atafurahi hata kama alikuwa kuna dhiki fulani kwa roho, you know. So that was the first main thing. The second one was I was just trying to showcase my products, kama mabuyu, chari. These are things many of us are just scattered all over the world na hawajui, ama they're close to me lakini hawajui kumbe kuna J Kizondo Swahili Bites very close to them who can give them, what they're looking for. So that was just a marketing strategy for me, and I'm so thankful to my followers and my clients. Just after that video, as I'm talking to you, I have a very big shipping tomorrow. All these are going out.
Imagine that, just because of something that you decided to do. And the beauty about that is because that is common to us back here. Like that is, we understand that. So the fact that you decided to just go with what you were familiar to also is something that is, creativity goes all around. Now, ukiangalia safari yako pia, I'm sure it hasn't been easy getting to where you are, given that you're the one who's cooking, ukiwa na team. What are changamoto zipi ambazo unapitia during just delivering your work, and especially knowing that you're dealing with food?
Is it okay before I go to changamoto, just want to go back to the message there? I was also trying to display to many maybe who didn't understand why I did that.
All right.
Okay. Why I did that kind of a video, I was trying to ignite people's mind with beautiful moments that we ignored or let go. Somebody like me who has been aware of I've been there for 2 years. Natamani kusikia mtu aseme nazi, mboga, we mama kuja huku. I don't hear those things. I miss such moments. Those are beautiful way of us African hustling out there. We do it and we enjoy what we do. So I was trying to wake up wale ambao wameenda ugaibuni, those who have gone to abroad. Na wamejisahau kule wametoka. That was the message. Okay?
Yes.
And then another thing is, I was trying to be proud of my roots, my color, my tribe as a Mijikenda, kwa sababu us Mijikenda are known as hustlers. Tunaenda kulima, kutoka tunaenda kwa kikapu, tunaenda kuuza. Okay? So, leave alone Mijikenda. Hata kina mama wa Kikuyu, Ukambani, they do the same thing. You know? So it's really something nice to appreciate who you are and where you're from. So, me ilikuwa na portray hiyo. And then the last one, I was trying, it was a form of love, respect, and appreciation for our mothers, mashangazi, madada, and the Kenyan community at large who sacrificed and are still sacrificing to see us prosper in this life.
Awesome. Good stuff. I love that apart from just the humor part of it all, there's also something that goes deeper that reminds you of who you are, just to remind the people chakula.
We need to respect them kwa sababu hawa ni watu ambao wanatuletea chakula mpaka kwenye milango zetu. Kwenye milango. So hizi biashara ndogo ndogo, please tujaribu kuzisupport sana. Tusiwadharau hawa watu. Ni watu wakubwa sana, watu ambao wanatuletea chakula mpaka mlangoni. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, and just speaking as a small business owner, maybe ni changamoto zipi pia ambazo wapitia hapo hivyo, you know, as dealing with the different cultural food na different cultural people with different backgrounds ambapo mnapatana nyote pamoja na wauzie chakula, ni changamoto zipi wapitia hapo?
You know, getting people be familiarized with the Swahili foods, because this is something new to them. They know the Swahili language, maybe a little of Swahili culture, but they know nothing about the Swahili foods. So me, before a customer, you know, it really gets convinced of buying my food, I have to explain what the food is. You know? So that would take a while. Somebody atanipigia kwa simu tuonge paka mate yote ipote. You know, for me to just explain what pilau is. But you know what? I like the beauty of that because I'm educating that person. It's okay. I don't mind. Okay? And then another changamoto is the demand is very high. And many of the East Africans who are my supporters, or many Kenyans, are scattered all over America and Canada. So when it comes to shipping, it becomes really hard, especially with perishable foods. Ukijaribu kumwambia mteja asiwezi kukuletea sambusa bana Canada, anaona kama mimi sitaki. Why should I deny you samosas? Lakini nakufikiria si masala mimi unilipe. So today I get rich and you're not happy. That's not me. I want you to get the food when it's in the best form, the flavor, unaenjoy, unajisikia tu kwa Mombasa juu ya bahari unaelea. That's what I want.
Good stuff. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, just your message to everyone who's watching us today, and especially our women, given this is our women at the forefront segment, and looking at those that get to leave home, they go and settle in other countries, but they don't know what to do or what to start or where to start, and yet they have these business ideas that are very cultural or remind them of home. Ungependa kuambia nini?
What I want to say is, wakati ni sasa. It's never too late. And lazima ujivunie na wewe ujiamshe na wewe ujitume. We have a saying in Mombasa, tunasema tukingoja nazi ianguke itakugonga kichwa. You cannot be there waiting, you know, knowing that success itakuja tu. That's a lie. That's a very big lie. Okay? Ni lazima wewe kama mwanamke ama wewe kama binadamu, you need to know your purpose from this life. Manake hata kesho mbele ya Mungu atakwenda kukuuliza miaka yako 40 Jamila uliitumia vipi kwenye ardhi. I believe kwenye Christianity Bible inasema hivyo, na kwenye Qur'ani yetu pia inasema hivyo.
Okay.
Mwili wako lazima utumie. Unaona? Na kitu kingine nitasema ni kuwa tusaidiane. Si kifedha. Money is not everything. Kuna kusaidiana kimawazo, kuna kusaidiana kimaneno mazuri, kuna kusaidiana kimwili. Leo Jamila nishikie watoto, acha mimi nikauze, things of that nature. Lakini ile tusisaidiane kwa matabaka. Huyu ni tabaka, yeye atoka Rift Valley, huyu watoka North Kirinyaga, no, tusisaidiane kikabila. Huyu Mijikenda, huyu Raila Odinga, huyu Uhuru. Let's get those out of our heads. Hata kidini, mimi akinijia mtu ambaye si Muislamu nitamsaidia kwa sababu nini? Ni binadamu mwenzangu. That's what I would do. Na tusisaidiane kilugha. Umeniambia Ohoro, nimekwambia ni kwega. So we are together. Ama umeniambia idhimabe, nimekwambia ujambo nijibu. No. Pia rangi, tusiangalie rangi kabisa. That's what I would say.
All right. Now, as we close the conversation, remind us your social media pages once more. Na tuambie ni vitu ambavyo, what are the delicacies that you sell? Unatuzia nini? Mabuyu. Nimeona una mabuyu hapo.
Mabuyu, achari. Mabuyu. Kuna na vishete. Anyway, Jen, why are you rushing to get me out of the screen? I just feel like talking. That's what I feel like talking. You know,
I know we will make more time, but due to the constraint of time, we have to bring the conversation to a close to allow other programming.
Okay, so no problem. You can find me, guys, on Jkizondo Bites, on Instagram, Jkizondo Bites, Facebook, Jkizondo Bites, TikTok, Jkizondo Bites, and YouTube, Jkizondo Bites. Yeah, all and right. The foods that I we done. The foods that I do is mainly Swahili, East African. Kwa hivyo nawashukuru nyote, nawapenda sana. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much for making time to join us today. We'll make sure we invite you again for more time.
All right. God bless you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Aya basi, wameshapokea salamu. That is Jamila Kizondo, the founder of J Kizondo Swahili Bites, based in Atlanta, Georgia, just
fully living her life and her culture and just embracing it all in the space that she is in. And just as she said, the time is now. That brings us to a close of that particular segment. That is Women at the Forefront, all about women, all about breaking barriers. For now, we have to bring the program to a close. Thank you so much for being with us. Remember to join us again tomorrow morning right here on Good Morning Kenya for another fantastic edition of Good Morning Kenya. I'm Jane Wamboy. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Hii ni Mitikasi leo, makala kutoka BBC. Yaliyomo: Uganda yaanza kukubalia madereva wa malori kuingia nchini humo baada ya mzozo kuhusu vipimo vya corona. Baadaye, je, bei za mafuta zitaendelea kuongezeka au zitapungua mwaka huu? Tunachambua hilo katika muda si mrefu. Kisha michuano ya kombe la mataifa ya Afrika AFCON hatimaye yang'oa nanga huko Cameroon. Tukija kutoka Nairobi, Kenya, twende kazi. Dakta, karibu katika habari za biashara zinazokuhusu, uchambuzi wa kina na mahojiano. Mimi ni Peter Mwangangi. Uganda imeanza kukubalia madereva wa malori ya kubeba mizigo walio na vyeti vya COVID vinavyoonyesha hawana corona na waliopimwa chini ya saa 72 kuingia nchini humo. Uganda pia imekubali kutambua matokeo ya vipimo vya PCR kutoka Kenya iwapo vimefanywa kwenye maabara zinazotambuliwa na Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Mzozo kati ya madereva na mamlaka ya Uganda ulisababisha madereva hao kususia kazi katika kivuko cha Malaba tangu Januari tarehe 1 mwaka huu. Mamlaka zilikuwa zimedai upimaji mpya wa COVID na malipo ya $30. Mauzo ya bidhaa kutoka Uganda hadi Kenya yalikuwa dola milioni 465, huku mauzo ya Kenya kwenda Uganda yakiwa dola milioni 673 mwaka 2020 kulingana na Umoja wa Mataifa. Mvutano huu ulileta wasiwasi kuhusu juhudi za kutekeleza soko huru la bara la Afrika AfCFTA ambalo linalenga kupunguza vikwazo katika biashara. Awali nilizungumza na John Bosco Kalisa, mkurugenzi mkuu wa Baraza la Biashara la Afrika Mashariki. Nilitaka kujua hasara ya kiuchumi iliyopatikana na mzozo huo mpakani.
Tunakuwa tunazungumza na minister wa EAC, minister wa Health, kama tunaomba watoe hiyo charge ya $30. Iko mingi sana kwa business, kwa biashara ya hii region.
Unafikiri ule muda ambao malori yamekuwa pale kwenye mpaka imekuwa na athari gani kwa uchumi wa Afrika Mashariki?
Inakuwa mingi sana, inakuwa mingi. Tunakuwa tunaona namba inakuwa rough 450 trucks piled around Maraba, stretching from Maraba to deep to other places in Kenya. So kama wewe unaona kama hiyo unaona cost inakuwa mingi sana. So tunaomba kama government ya Uganda itoe hiyo new measure na cost walitoe.
Na kwa kifupi kabisa, nchi za Afrika Mashariki zinafaa kufanya nini ili kuhakikisha kwamba ufanyaji wa biashara ni rahisi, hakuna vikwazo vingi ama vitu kama ambavyo tumeshuhudia katika mpaka wa Kenya na Uganda?
Tunakuwa tunasema sisi kwa Business Council tunakuwa tunaomba EAC ministries, EAC partner states, kama when they put up a measure, they need to respect the measures they have put in place. Sahi tunasema sisi kuna regional truck drivers certificate. Hiyo they need to respect that, they need to adhere to that. So ndio sisi tunaomba sasa EABC kama new measures wacha tuzungumuze pamoja tuone implication kwa biashara wetu.
Kwa hivyo